Chapter 256. Luo Xinning sneered. Because of her you offended the royal family of Tianyu and caused the Luo family to be suppressed. All of this is caused by Luo Qingtong. She should be the one to be chased out of the Luo family. Come on. Luo Xinning waved her hand. Go to the main yard of the Luo family and throw out all of Luo Qingtong's belongings. Burn them all. Luo Xinning sneered in her heart. Previously, when Luo Qingtong came back to establish her dominance, she directly threw the second branch of the Luo family's things out of the main courtyard and burned them. She had always remembered this incident. Now, she was going to get it all back. How dare you? How dare you? Old Master Luo was furious. He was worried about the Luo family and did not want to give the people around Luo Xinning a chance to attack. However, he did not expect them to be so aggressive and wanted to take over the Luo family and chase Luo Qingtong out of the Luo family. Elder Luo was not going to hold back any longer. He knew what was going on. Luo Xinning came back for the Luo family. She wanted to take over the Luo family? Luo Xinning, a wild girl who married into the Luo family while her mother was pregnant, was not worthy. Elder Luo was furious. He slammed the table and stood up. Without saying anything, he attacked. Bang. The two people beside Luo Xinning were waiting for Elder Luo to attack. The two of them stood out, one on the left and one on the right, shielding Luo Xinning behind them. They also released their chi at the peak of the martial marquis realm and clashed with Elder Luo. Ha! How dare a martial marquis attack his own granddaughter? Elder Luo, you are old and confused. Let the young ones take charge of the Luo family. One of them mocked as he suddenly took a step back. That's right. Grandpa, you are old. I think someone else should take charge of the Luo family. For example, my father. Luo Xinning was already prepared for Old Master Luo's attack. The moment Old Master Luo made his move, she immediately dodged backwards. Just as Old Master Luo thought, she came back this time to anger Old Master Luo. She wanted to change the Luo family. It was Old Man Luo's fault for going to the royal family of Tianyu to break off the engagement and angering the Empress and Princess Qi. Stripping the Luo family of their authority was only the first step. It was time for him to vent his anger after so many years. Luo Xinning sneered. However, as soon as she finished speaking, a loud rumble resounded. The whole courtyard of the Luo family suddenly shook. In the next second, boom! Amidst a thunderous explosion, the two men who were protecting her and attacking Grandfather Luo were sent flying backward as if they had suffered a heavy blow. Luo Xinning was caught off guard. Before she could react, she was sent flying by the two of them. The three of them flew backward at the same time. With a bang, they directly knocked down the courtyard wall not far away. Luo Xinning was in a sorry state. She was pressed to the ground by the two peak martial lords. Her breasts were almost flattened. The pain made her tear up. As for the two peak martial marquis experts on her body, they directly spat out a mouthful of blood. They were obviously badly injured. Elder Luo, who was originally furious, was stunned when he saw this. Around the Luo family, the group of people who were about to attack in secret retracted their auras and hid themselves again. It's the array set up by Master. One of the battle slaves said in a low voice. Indeed. It seems that the relationship between Master and Grandfather Luo is not shallow. We must protect him well. Yes. Chapter 257. In the courtyard, the two martial marquis realm experts also reacted. They supported each other and stood up in a sorry state. They looked at Old Master Luo with a bewildered expression. They did not expect the Luo family to have an array. And it was not weak. Could it be that they were lucky enough to meet a spirit array master? It seemed that they had to go back and make a plan. As they thought about it, their eyes flashed. They looked at each other and did not dare to be presumptuous anymore. They helped each other up and left. Of course, they did not forget to take Luo Xinning with them. Otherwise, with what he had done, he would have been beaten to death by Old Master Luo. Bang! Master Luo wanted to chase after them and make Luo Xinning stay. This woman did not care about anything for her ambition. She would only be a scourge. However, the two martial lords at the peak of the martial lord realm joined forces and took Luo Xinning away. Master Luo was so angry that he slammed the stone table in front of him into two halves. "Get Luo Lauer here," he shouted angrily. He wanted to ask Luo Lauer if he knew what Luo Xinning had done. Now that he knew, what should he do? If he wanted that daughter, he would pretend that he did not have a son. Master Luo was furious. On the other side, Luo Xinning was in an extremely difficult position. She was so close to being kept in the Luo family by Master Luo. Looking at the murderous look on his face, how could Luo Xinning not know that if she was really left behind, only death awaited her? Why? Why was the heavens so unfair? Why did he give Luo Qingtong all the good things? Grandpa protected her and the fifth prince wanted to marry no one but her. Even the Queen of Tianyu could not do anything about it. She finally had a chance to turn things around, and there was a spiritual array master protecting her in the Luo family. Luo Xinning was mad with hatred. She came back this time for the position of the successor of the Luo family. That was why she kept pressuring Master Luo. However, who would have thought that there was an array in the Luo family? When did this happen? Why did she not know about it? Master Luo had been guarding against her all this time. And that Luo Qingtong, she used to be so good to her. In the end, the fact that the Luo clan had an array formation and knew a spiritual array master was actually hidden from her. Luo Xinning was furious. "Luo Xinning, how dare you not tell me that the Luo clan has an array formation?" The two experts at the peak of the martial lord realm were extremely displeased. They were ordered by the royal family of Tianyu to protect and help Luo Xinning fight against Luo Laozi. However, because of her carelessness, she almost died in the Luo family. When grandfather Luo tried to make them stay, they didn't even dare to fight back. He was afraid that he would have to endure the backlash of the array, while enduring Elder Luo's attack. The two of them had never been in such a sorry state before. They immediately looked at Luo Xinning with an unfriendly expression. If it weren't for the fact that she was a member of the Luo family, and was the most suitable person to deal with Luo Laoi and Luo Qingtong, so that Princess Qi and the Empress could vent their anger, they wouldn't have to serve a little girl. Even her strength as a fourth-rank martial general was forcefully raised by the Tianyu royal family, using countless precious elixirs and herbs. Under such circumstances, Luo Xinning was not of any use. Why did they still keep her around? I don't know. Luo Xinning gritted her teeth. Humph. Save your words for yourself and explain it to the higher-ups. The two of them spoke and left, leaving Luo Xinning alone in the room with hatred. Chapter 258. Who's there? The two of them were completely unaware that they were being followed. When they left Wingate City and came to a secluded forest, they suddenly realized there was movement around them. Someone who wants your lives. The battle slaves by Luo Qingtong's side all had the ability to hide their auras after being trained by her. When there was no one around, they revealed themselves and stared coldly at the two of them. These two were peak martial marquises. If they followed Luo Xinning, they would inevitably hurt grandfather Luo in the future. Therefore, when they left the Luo residence with Luo Xinning, a group of people followed them. Luo Xinning was from the second branch of the Luo family. The group of battle slaves did not know the relationship between their master and the Luo family, so they did not dare to act rashly. However, these two people had to be eliminated. How dare they attack old Master Luo? The group of battle slaves was ordered to protect grandfather Luo. If there was a hidden danger that could harm grandfather Luo, they had to eliminate it immediately. Otherwise, how could they bear the consequences of failing their master's orders? Others might not know their master's abilities, but they knew. Boom. As soon as the group of battle slaves appeared, they immediately charged towards the two experts at the peak of the martial marquis realm who were surrounded. How dare you? Who are you? How dare you attack us? Do you know that we are from the imperial family of Tianyu? The two of them did not expect that in a small and remote country like Dongli, there would be a group of martial marquises waiting to kill them. What was going on? In a small and inferior country like Dongli, if there were a few martial marquises, they could not wait to be conferred the title of marquis. This group of people was obviously someone else's subordinates. Seeing the group of battle slaves charging at them, the two peak martial marquises sent by the imperial family of Tianyu were shocked and enraged. Especially when they found out that there were also peak martial marquises and they were not weak. They were even more shocked and enraged. As they dodged, they shouted angrily. However, their words had no effect on the group of battle slaves. The imperial family of Tianyu? The peak martial marquis leading the group looked disdainful. So what? With their master's monstrous talent and medical skills, even the imperial family would treat her as a guest of honor if she did not intentionally hide it. Moreover, with the bloody arena in the Black Field, the imperial family of Tianyu was nothing. The two peak martial marquises did not expect the other party to look down on the imperial family of Tianyu. They felt uneasy. Then he looked at the group of battle slaves, who were strong and skilled in besieging and attacking without mercy. They didn't look like they came from a small place like the Eastern Fence country at all. He felt even more terrified. They attacked with all their might before turning around to flee. However, they were stopped by a group of battle slaves. Leaving. Since all the battle slaves had made an appearance, they were naturally confident in their ability to annihilate them here. So, all of them immediately erupted with their auras, and executed forbidden techniques to forcefully keep them here. They took out the medicinal liquid Luo Qingtong gave them to recover their strength. At the same time, they used the forbidden technique to recover their strength. After doing all this, they turned and prepared to leave. Chapter 259. Haha, look what I found. A group of ants actually have a medicinal liquid that can repair meridians and prevent the backlash from the forbidden technique. Gag. You can stay here. Tell me the source of that medicinal liquid. As he spoke, a black shadow suddenly flashed out from the darkness of the dense forest. Who is it? Suddenly hearing such a voice, the group of battle slaves were all very vigilant. The expert at the peak of the martial lord realm suddenly made a gesture and prepared to retreat with the group of battle slaves. However, as soon as they moved, a voice rang out. Swish, swish, swish. In the dense forest, countless figures flashed out. At the same time, the corpses of the two peak martial lords that they had just killed suddenly stood up as if they were pulled by something. Ga. What you just said to the two of them. I'll return it to you now. That is, it's too late to leave. This voice was indescribably cold and strange. Against the gloominess of the surrounding dense forest, it made people's hearts tremble. As he spoke, the figures, along with the two experts at the peak of the martial marquis realm who had just been killed, suddenly pounced on them. Puppet. The opponent is a soul master. And a soul master who is very powerful and has a strange soul seal. Go quickly. We can't be caught by him. Seeing the movements of the two peak martial marquis corpses, and then seeing their stiff limbs and ashen complexions, the group of battle slaves were all experienced and knowledgeable people. They immediately reacted. The opponent was a soul master who had a special soul seal. And he was extremely powerful. Just by looking at how he was able to control the two peak martial lords' corpses with a raise of his hand, and the strength he displayed was actually not weaker than when they were alive, they knew that the strength of this soul master was definitely above the martial lord realm. Go quickly. We must inform master about this. The other party actually took a fancy to the medicinal liquid that their master gave them. The battle slaves felt that something was wrong and hurriedly wanted to retreat. However, just as they were halfway through their movements, in an instant countless thread-like forces mixed in with the attacks of those figures suddenly hit their bodies. Swish, swish, swish. Almost instantly, the bodies of the battle slaves stiffened. They wanted to avoid the attacks of those figures, but they could not avoid these threads at all. Gg. Got it. In the darkness, a ghost-like figure floated out. It was an old man who looked like a dwarf. His wrinkled skin wrapped around his body. Countless strands of power floated around his body like strands of silk. It was this power that froze the group of battle slaves and turned them into uncontrollable statues. Soul King. Sensing the surging power around the other party, the group of battle slaves who couldn't move or speak were filled with shock and horror. Humph. You guys don't look like people who possess such a precious medicinal liquid. Yet you can actually drink it like water. You don't cherish it. It seems that the person who gave you the medicinal liquid must have a deep relationship with you. Gee. I'll use you guys as puppets first, and then lure that person out. As the old man spoke, there was a series of crackling sounds. His bones suddenly stretched, and his aura and appearance changed as well. He turned into the appearance of the leading peak martial marquis realm battle slave. He stood there, laughing towards the sky, and suddenly leaped away. The group of battle slaves were under his control, and could only be forced to leave with him. However, in their hearts there was a wave of shock and anxiety. Chapter 260. What? The two peak martial marquises are dead? The next day, Luo Xinning did not even dare to leave her house after waiting for the two peak martial marquises for a long time. She gritted her teeth and contacted the royal family of Tianyu. She wanted to ask if they were not going to deal with the Luo family and Luo Qingtong. However, she received such a piece of news, which made her shiver. Dead. The two peak martial marquises were dead? They were two peak martial marquises. Not just any Tom, Dick or Harry. Luo Xinning could not believe it. However, the royal family of Tianyu gave an affirmative answer. They wanted to ask Luo Xinning what was going on. The soul lamps of the two peak martial marquises were extinguished almost at the same time. In the entire eastern border country, who had such great power to silently kill two peak martial marquis realm experts? The royal family of Dongli country might be able to, but they would not dare to do so. I don't know. Luo Xinning was flustered by the royal family of Tianyu's question. How could it be? How could it be? The two peak martial marquises died just like that. After they went to the Luo family with her. Wait, Luo Xinning's face suddenly stiffened. The two peak martial marquis realm cultivators had disappeared without a trace after going to the Luo clan with her. When did they die? She asked anxiously. The royal family of Tianyu sent her a time. Instantly Luo Xinning could not help but tremble. It's that spiritual array caster. It must be her. Luo Xinning screamed in her heart. She had been wondering if the spiritual array caster was really there. Maybe the Luo family got the array by accident. But now, the death of the two peak martial marquises left her with no doubt. How could it be so coincidental? She had just gone to the Luo family to make trouble, and the two peak martial marquises died. Someone must have warned them not to do anything to the Luo family. Spiritual array caster. There was really a spiritual array caster behind the Luo family. Luo Xinning gritted her teeth. At the same time, she knew she could not let the royal family of Tianyu know about this. Otherwise, the other party might not have dealt with the Luo family and Luo Qingtong again. After all, it was just a moment of anger. Going against a spiritual array master was not worth it. Moreover, the fifth prince did not intend to annul his engagement with Luo Qingtong. If they knew that the Luo clan had a spiritual array master backing them up, the Tianyu imperial family would definitely give up and stop bothering the Luo clan. How could this be? Luo Xinning was counting on the royal family of Tianyu to deal with Luo Qingtong and the Luo family. Otherwise, she would have been beaten to death by grandfather Luo for all the things she had done. Thinking of this, Luo Xinning's face turned ugly. Fortunately, the time for Tianyu Branch Academy's recruitment test was just around the corner. As long as she could get through this period of time and enter the Tianyu Branch Academy, no one would be able to do anything to her. Luo Qingtong, I won't let you have an easy time. Since the Luo clan is protected by a spirit array master, if I can't get the Luo clan, then I will destroy it. Luo Xinning's expression was vicious. I don't know what's going on either, but it must have something to do with the Luo family. Maybe there is someone else behind the grandfather. She said half-truthfully. After all, Luo Qingtong's mother was able to cure the fifth prince's innate cold illness. Chapter 261. That's right. Since that's the case, let's start from somewhere else. You won't miss it, right? The man narrowed his eyes at Luo Xinning. Don't forget how the Empress and the seventh princess nurtured you. Once you enter the Tianyu Branch Academy, you will have everything you want. Don't make a mistake. I know. Luo Xinning sneered in her heart. If it was before, she would definitely miss the Luo clan. But now, she couldn't wait for the Luo clan to be completely destroyed. That way, Luo Qingtong would lose her backing. Then she would see what she could use to compete with her. As for the Luo clan, after destroying it, she could just build a new one. A Luo clan that belonged solely to her. Luo Xinning raised her head. I will satisfy the Empress and the 7th princess. Very good. The man from the Tianyu imperial family left with satisfaction. After he left, Luo Xinning called for a servant girl with a cold gaze. Go to the Luo clan and call my father. Outside Wingei's city, a red figure flashed through the streets like a bolt of lightning. Luo Qingtong hurried along with Little Pig. Not long after, she saw the tracking mark left by the battle slaves. Following the mark, Luo Qingtong entered Nine Magi Mountain. The spirit ship was huge, so the battle slaves must have parked it at Nine Magi Mountain. Luo Qingtong wanted to meet with them and ask about the situation in Wingei's city and the Luo clan. While she was at it, she kept the spirit ship. After all, it wasn't good to leave such a big target outside. Luo Qingtong didn't want to attract too much attention. Previously, she had no other choice. Now that she had the useless ring from Little Pig, she could keep the flying ship. Master. The moment Luo Qingtong entered Nine Magi Mountain, a battle slave came to greet her. Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows as she looked at the pinnacle martial lord battle slave, who had walked out from the dense forest leading to Wingei's city. You've been waiting here? Her eyes were empty, but there was a faint flash of blood in them. Yes. This subordinate was afraid that he would miss his master's return, so he purposely waited here. Master, I have an urgent matter to report to you. The battle slave expert at the peak of the martial lord realm said as he approached Luo Qingtong. Oh, is that so? Luo Qingtong stared at him. Through her eye technique, she could clearly see that there was something wrong with the other party's body. Interesting. Luo Qingtong's lips curled into a smile. She sized up this peak martial marquis war slave and realized that if she did not use her eye technique, his disguise would be flawless. From his aura to his appearance to his figure, there were no flaws at all. This was the first time Luo Qingtong had seen such a disguise technique. It was better than any disguise she had ever seen. If not for her eye technique, she would have been deceived by the other party. Let's go back and talk. Where are the others? Pretending not to notice anything, Luo Qingtong allowed the other party to approach. The others are inside the mountain range. Master, let me take you there. The peak martial marquis expert said as he got closer and closer to Luo Qingtong. When he was 3 meters away from the girl, swish swish swish. Strands of thread-like power suddenly burst out from his body and attacked Luo Qingtong. Seeing the clear threads of power in her eye technique, Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows. She didn't move from her spot. Haha. Got you. Chapter 262. Haha. I didn't expect that the one who refined the medicinal liquid would be such a young and beautiful girl. Good. That shriveled dwarf old man looked at Luo Qingtong's gorgeous face and laughed lecherously. Later, when you've concocted the medicinal liquid that I want, I'll make you want to die. Haha. That old man's laughter was sinister and evil. Looking at Luo Qingtong, his gaze was full of evil intentions. Luo Qingtong looked at him. The blood-red light in her eyes was like a biting cold blade. Her killing intent overflowed in all directions, but she didn't take any action. Swish swish swish. That old man's figure flitted. The power of countless silk threads fluttered and pulled Luo Qingtong's figure forward. Luo Qingtong felt the power of those silk threads tighten in her body and pulled forward. She didn't resist and let those silk threads pull her forward. Beside her, there were several similar figures. All of them were corpses. Following that old man's movements, they flew out. These corpse puppets were all used by that shriveled dwarf old man to prevent Luo Qingtong from escaping. But he didn't expect that the other party would be so unguarded. Without using them at all, he captured her. Master. In the dark cave, seeing Luo Qingtong being pushed in, the group of battle slave experts were startled and hurriedly cried out. Jejia. I said before, no matter who your master is, I can capture her. That shriveled dwarf old man's voice resounded in the cave. But I didn't expect that the one who could concoct this medicinal liquid would be such a beautiful little girl. Jejia. Little girl, help me concoct a medicinal liquid that can restore the strength of my meridians, and I'll spare you and your subordinates' lives. I'll take you in as my 138th concubine. You won't have to worry about your life anymore. How about it? The shriveled dwarf old man's voice was lewd, and he looked at Luo Qingtong with a lustful gaze. If it wasn't for the fact that he wanted Luo Qingtong to help him concoct the medicinal liquid, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to hold himself back from making a move on her. The young girl's face was as beautiful as a flower. She was absolutely gorgeous. Just by standing there, she was like a jade goddess statue. She was beautiful to the extreme, causing people's hearts to itch unbearably. Luo Qingtong didn't say anything. The shriveled dwarf waited for a while before he flew into a rage out of humiliation. Think about it carefully. I'll come back tomorrow for an answer. If you're not satisfied, don't blame me for being ruthless. I have plenty of ways to make you submit. As he spoke, his eyes flashed with a sinister glint as he left. Master. The group of battle slaves looked worriedly at the girl standing in front of them. I'm fine. Luo Qingtong's voice was faint. In her eyes, she could clearly see where those threads of energy had pierced through the acupoints in her body. She could easily remove them. But that old man's strength was the most difficult to deal with. He was a Soul King expert, and he had come for her medicinal liquid. Luo Qingtong thought about how to get rid of this trouble once and for all. Just at this moment, a voice rang out from the corner of the cave. Little girl, you're quite careless. You're still fine. I'll give you a clear path. Whether or not you can cure that old freak Inchi's injuries, don't treat him. Otherwise, your end will be extremely miserable. Chapter 263. Sigh. Don't scare the little girl. What difference does it make whether she agrees or not? That sinister Qi is vicious and has countless ways to torture her. In the end, won't she still die? Not to mention her, even we won't be able to escape. As soon as this voice rang out, the other voices instantly stopped. Then, a wave of sighs rang out. Sigh. It's fate. If not for the fact that we were severely injured when we fought against the divine sky-connecting beast, we wouldn't have been subdued by that sinister Qi. Who would have thought that he would be so sinister and attack us all of a sudden? That's right. This trip to the Nine Magi Mountain is really not worth it. We didn't get anything and we even lost our lives. Who would have thought? There was actually a divine sky-connecting beast in the immortal sect ruins. These people's words instantly attracted Luo Qingtong's attention. Through her eye technique, she could clearly see that there was a group of people in the corner of the cave. These people had unkempt hair and dirty faces. They did not care about their appearance and looked extremely miserable. However, the weakest of these people was actually an inferior martial king. Among them, there were even 2 peak martial kings. However, they were all severely injured. Not only that, their bodies were also penetrated by the power of the threads. They had no strength to resist at all. Luo Qingtong looked at these people and blinked her eyes. Could it be that these people had rushed in to try their luck when the Nine Magi Mountain's Immortal Slayer Palace appeared? In the end, they were severely injured by the divine sky-connecting beast? Luo Qingtong remembered that when the divine sky-connecting beast appeared, it had chased after her for a long time. Later on, it had a huge battle with that man. These people might have been caught in the crossfire during the process. Then they were also quite unlucky. The divine sky-connecting beast was so powerful. Except for that man, the others would have died if they came close to it. It was already good enough that they were only injured. However, that sinister Qi had taken advantage of them. Luo Qingtong felt a headache for them. However, this had nothing to do with Luo Qingtong. She was thinking of how to deal with this sinister Qi from these people's words. Luo Qingtong knew that this sinister Qi was a superior martial king. A soul king was already stronger than a martial king of the same rank. Moreover, old monster In Qi was a soul king expert with a special soul seal. Her strength was even stronger than an ordinary peak martial king expert. His strength was comparable to a powerhouse who had just entered the martial royal realm. After these people were injured by the shockwaves from Yi Qianxian's and the divine connecting beast's attacks, they encountered the equally injured In Qi old monster, and were immediately subdued by her. Although the power of the threads on old monster Inchi's body could not completely control their movements like it could control low-level martial artists, but it was still able to seal their strength. The group of people were kept as food reserves for old monster Inchi every once in a while. A person would be killed to maintain old monster Inchi's strength. Of the dozens of people in the group, only a dozen or so were left. Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes. A high-class soul king, this was a little troublesome. If he couldn't kill her in one blow, the other party would definitely react immediately. At that time, they would use the power of those threads to control the corpse puppets to attack. Luo Qingtong would inevitably be besieged. Moreover, the other party's soul king's strength was also quite good. No wonder the status of a soul master in the True Spill continent was much higher than that of a martial artist. Their combat strength was not on the same level. At the same rank, a soul master powerhouse with a soul seal was much more powerful than a martial artist. Luo Qingtong frowned as she pondered. An idea slowly formed in her mind. At this moment, a battle slave powerhouse's voice sounded. Chapter 264. When Luo Qingtong heard this, she raised her head and saw a group of battle slave experts looking at her. Master, we've been controlled by the other party. We definitely can't escape. If it weren't for us, you wouldn't have been caught. When we self-destruct, you should quickly leave. With your strength, you'll definitely be able to escape. These battle slave experts felt extremely guilty. If it weren't for their carelessness and old monster Ghastly Puppet discovered the medicinal liquid that Master had given them, they wouldn't have been caught and wouldn't have implicated Master. Now that they had made a big mistake, they didn't have any chance of survival anyway. It was better to help Master escape with all their strength. The group believed that if old monster Ghastly Puppet hadn't transformed into their appearance, Master wouldn't have been fooled and wouldn't have been caught. Especially the peak martial lord expert. He felt even more guilty and looked at Luo Qingtong with an indescribable determination. This suggestion was made by him. He was originally prepared to self-destruct, but the others all agreed, and it became their collective action. Luo Qingtong looked at them, but before she could speak, the voices of the martial kings rang out. Oh, you're quite loyal to protect Master. I advise you to stop daydreaming. The power of the soul seal isn't ordinary power, it's sealed in the human body. It's impossible for you to make any movements of your own will. It's impossible for you to self-destruct. That's right. You all, these low-level martial artists, have too little experience. If we could self-destruct, we would have done it long ago. Why wait for death here? You'd better save your strength. Don't what? Before the martial emperor realm experts finished their words, they suddenly raised their heads. They looked in the direction of Luo Qingtong in shock. They saw the young girl raise her hand to pat the dust off her body and tidy up her robe while she was at it. Her pair of dark and empty eyes indifferently looked at them. Oh, daydreaming? You. The group of martial kings stared at Luo Qingtong in shock and sluggishness, completely unable to understand what was going on. How did this young girl, who was clearly only a great general, do it? Could it be that when old monster Ghastly Puppet let her in, he didn't use his soul power to control her? It must be so. Otherwise, just as everyone was thinking this, they saw Luo Qingtong walk in front of a group of battle slave experts and raise her hand to slap them one by one. Pa pa pa. Everyone who was slapped by her felt their bodies tremble violently. The power of the threads that penetrated their bodies were instantly sent flying. Without anyone controlling it, the power of the soul imprint was easily dispersed by Luo Qingtong. Not a trace of power remained in the bodies of the battle slaves. In an instant, they regained control of their bodies. We can move now. After moving their muscles and bones and feeling that they had regained control of their bodies, the group of battle slave experts were pleasantly surprised. They looked at Luo Qingtong with even more shock and awe. Master was indeed more powerful than usual. They originally thought that this was a life and death situation, but they didn't think that their master would easily resolve it. Looking at her master's nonchalant attitude, she couldn't have been caught on purpose before, right? Was it to save them? The group of battle slave experts were very moved. Master, let's get out of here quickly. After releasing the control of their bodies, the group of battle slaves hurriedly said. Okay. A bloody light flashed in Luo Qingtong's eyes. The light in her eyes glanced at the martial kings who were already stunned in the corner of the cave, and she turned to leave. Chapter 265. Wait. Little friend. Wait. They hurriedly called out to Luo Qingtong. These martial king experts were already stunned by Luo Qingtong's actions. Old Freak Inchi's soul imprint was not something that an ordinary person could remove. With the strength of an upper-level soul king expert, one had to be at least a peak soul king, or even a martial emperor expert to completely force the soul imprint out of the body. Otherwise, it was impossible to see the location of the soul imprint in the body. But Luo Qingtong easily did it. This was still a little girl in the great martial general realm. The group of martial king experts no longer cared about how Luo Qingtong did it. They only knew that Luo Qingtong could help them break away from old Freak Inchi's control. They no longer had to be lambs waiting to be slaughtered. This matter was more important than anything else. As for how this little girl did it, didn't old Freak Inchi say that she was an alchemist? She could also refine medicinal liquid that could repair meridians. Although when they heard it before, they felt that old Freak Inchi was desperate to find a doctor, and randomly found a silly little girl to help him. But now that they saw Luo Qingtong's ability, they believed it. This girl must be a very powerful alchemist. Maybe she used some special method to remove those puppet threads. In short, it was fine as long as she could remove the soul imprint. God knows they were about to go crazy being trapped here. Little friend, saving a life is better than building a 7-floor pagoda. At the same time, we are old Freak Inchi's enemies. As the saying goes, the enemy of an enemy is a friend. Little friend, please save us. When we get out of danger, we will naturally reward you. Yes. Little friend. Since you can remove that old freak's puppet technique, why don't you remove it for us? That old freak is outside. If you run out like this, it's inevitable that he will find you and hunt you down. With us here, it'll be easier to deal with him. The group of people tried their best to persuade Luo Qingtong. When they called out to Luo Qingtong, the girl's lips curled up. She was waiting for these people to stop her. Oh, save you? She turned around and suppressed the smile on her lips. Her dark and empty eyes looked in their direction. Without one ghastly puppet old monster, will it attract a bunch of ghastly puppet old monsters? As she spoke, she glanced at them meaningfully. Even though she couldn't see, everyone felt as if she was sweeping her gaze over them. Your strength is not weaker than that old ghastly puppet. How do I know that after you deal with that old ghastly puppet, you will not turn around and deal with me? Luo Qingtong snorted. I can escape the control of old Freak Inchi's threads, and I can also escape from him. So why should I save you? What if I save a bunch of ingrates? Wouldn't I be asking for trouble? The group was instantly speechless by Luo Qingtong's question. That's right. There was no need for this little girl to save them. She had already removed the power of those threads, and as long as she was careful not to attract the attention of old Freak Inchi, she could easily escape. There was no need for her to save them. On the contrary, saving them would easily lead to trouble in the future. However, they were waiting for Luo Qingtong to save them. Otherwise, when old Freak Inchi reacted and saw that Luo Qingtong and the rest had escaped, it would be strange if he didn't vent his anger on them. Thinking of this, the group of people became anxious. Just then Luo Qingtong's voice slowly rang out. Chapter 266. Little friend, say it. Hearing that there was a chance, the group of people immediately said, That's right. As long as we can do it, we will absolutely agree. Yes, yes. The group of people hurriedly nodded their heads. They originally thought that Luo Qingtong was unwilling to save them. The group of people was speechless, not knowing how to persuade Luo Qingtong. After all, they also didn't know how to make Luo Qingtong believe that they wouldn't turn against her. Seeing that the other party showed signs of agreeing, they naturally agreed regardless of the consequences. Anyway, no matter what the conditions were, it was better than losing their lives. But when Luo Qingtong's voice sounded, they were immediately dumbfounded. Oh, didn't you guys say that yourselves? As long as you can do it, you will agree to any conditions? Luo Qingtong looked at them, The corners of her lips curled up into a smile. In that case, make a vow to the heavens and earth, and recognize me as your master. The girl looked at them with a smile. The smile on her lips was 3 parts delicate and 7 parts evil. I will become your master, your life and death. I will naturally not ignore it. As for my secret, you will not leak it. This is the only way I can accept. It is also the only way I can be sure that you will not harm me. You can choose for yourselves. When Luo Qingtong said this, the smile on her lips didn't change, but her voice became cold little by little. Those who recognize me as their master live. Those who are stubborn die. Luo Qingtong would only save 2 kinds of people. One was the people she wanted to save. The other was the people she thought were her own people. Since these trapped martial king experts were not the first kind, they could only be the second kind. This is impossible. The group of martial king experts didn't expect Luo Qingtong to make such a request. A little girl of the great general realm actually wanted to take a group of martial king experts as her servants? This was really ridiculous. You are really going too far. We will not agree. A group of martial king experts were proud and arrogant. How could they tolerate being under a little girl of the great general realm? This was absolutely impossible. Immediately, someone fiercely retorted. Oh, since that's the case, then you can wait for death here. Let's go. Seeing that they didn't agree, Luo Qingtong didn't care. Although she was waiting for these people to call out to her, she would never let them see through her thoughts. This would be a competition to see who was more impatient. What he wanted was a chance to kill old freak Yin Qi, but what these people wanted was a chance to live. They would definitely give in. Luo Qingtong ignored them and led the group of battle slave experts out. The latter and the rest were very quiet. Even when they heard Luo Qingtong mention the condition of taking in these martial king experts as servants, no one exclaimed. From their point of view, Luo Qingtong wanting to take these people as servants was really a great opportunity for these people. These people don't know how powerful Master is. Otherwise, she would have cried and begged her master to take her in as a servant. Are martial kings very powerful? That's because Master hasn't fully grown yet. As early as when she was in the martial general realm, Master had already killed an early-stage martial king. What are these people? Only they would take themselves seriously. The group of battle slave experts glanced at them coldly and followed Luo Qingtong, preparing to leave. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. Chapter 267. Little friend. Wait. Little friend. A middle-level martial king realm expert stopped Luo Qingtong. The next second he gritted his teeth and said, I agree. Damn. Lunatic. You're really crazy when I call you a lunatic? Why did you agree? It's not certain if such a little girl at the great martial general realm can escape from the pursuit of old monster Yin Qi. She definitely needs us. You actually agreed to her. Among the group of martial king realm experts, someone suddenly cursed. You know nothing. What if she can really escape? The middle-level martial king realm expert retorted. I'm not like you who cares about this and that. I'm all alone, and I'm a lone wolf. She can save me, so what if I recognize her as my master? Staying alive is more important than anything else. This middle-level martial king realm expert was very straightforward. He didn't have a family to burden him, nor did he have any power behind him. It was nothing to recognize Luo Qingtong as his master. Wasn't it just having one more person working for her? It was better than losing his life. His words immediately attracted many people's attention, especially since Luo Qingtong had already subdued this lunatic and didn't lack martial king realm experts around her. If they really left like this, they were really dead. Compared to their lives, everything else was really nothing. Wasn't it just losing their freedom? Immediately, after this middle-level martial king realm expert agreed, several other martial king realm experts who were also independent and didn't belong to any sect or power also agreed. These people's agreement immediately made the rest of the people unable to sit still, especially the 2 peak martial king realm experts. After seeing that half of the people had agreed, one of the peak martial king realm experts had an unsightly expression and finally agreed. In this way, only one peak martial king realm expert, and the other 4 superior-level Martial King Realm experts were left. They looked at Luo Qingtong and the group of Martial King Realm experts who had already made an oath to heaven and earth to recognize her as their master. Their faces were full of disdain. At this moment, Luo Qingtong approached them. The 5 people thought that Luo Qingtong was trying to persuade them, so they immediately snorted disdainfully and closed their eyes. However, the next second, with a poochie sound, the long sword pierced into the flesh. The expert at the peak of the Martial King realm instantly opened his eyes and stared at Luo Qingtong. He wanted to say something, but was pushed away by Luo Qingtong. Bang! His body fell to the ground, dying with his eyes wide open. This peak Martial King realm expert had never imagined that Luo Qingtong would dare to kill him. He had the power of old monster ghastly puppet's soul imprint in his body. It was not a big deal to remove it silently like Luo Qingtong, but killing him would definitely attract old monster ghastly puppet's attention. But Luo Qingtong killed him without hesitation. Didn't she want to escape? The other 4 superior-level Martial King realm experts? Luo Qingtong shook off the blood on the life and death yin-yang sword, and did not even look at them. Kill. Yes. Before the other Martial King realm experts could react, a group of battle slave experts flew over and directly killed the 4 upper-class Martial King realm experts who wanted to beg for mercy in a hurry. They didn't need to ask the reason for their master's order. However, those Martial King realm experts who were still under control and had already recognized Luo Qingtong as their master started to panic. Chapter 268. That's why I want him to sense it. Luo Qingtong's voice was indifferent. She had never thought of escaping from the start. The reason why she wanted to leave was just to put on an act for these Martial King experts to see. Otherwise, why would they panic and acknowledge her as their master? Luo Qingtong wanted to borrow their strength to kill old monster Yin Qi, but to prevent them from rebelling, she naturally had to control them. As for the 5 people who refused to submit, they were already at that stage and still refused to submit. They must have other ideas. For example, after they left, they would alert old monster Yin Qi and sell their information to old monster Yin Qi, then rely on him to hunt them down. How could Luo Qingtong give them the chance to sell her out? These people were too simple-minded. Did they think that her goal was only to escape? Old monster Yin Qi had seen her true face and coveted her medicinal liquid and her person. How could she ignore such a huge hidden danger? Of course she had to kill him. From the very beginning, these trapped Martial King realm experts had been wrong. What? When the group of Martial King experts heard this, they were instantly dumbfounded. Wasn't Master's idea to escape? She had purposely lured old monster Yin Qi to a great martial general. Could it be that she wanted to kill him? Just as the group was thinking this, they saw Luo Qingtong take out a few bottles of medicinal liquid and hand them to the battle slave experts beside her. Let them drink it. Listen to my orders later and attack old monster Yin Qi. No way. Was Master really going to attack old monster Yin Qi? That was an upper-class Soul King expert. Although his meridians were damaged and his strength had decreased, if he were to disregard everything and explode, he would still be very powerful. With that special soul seal and the ability to control puppets, it would not be a problem for him to fight against them. Even if all of them recovered their strength, they might not be able to make him stay. Furthermore, Master had not removed the control of those soul seals for them. Master, what are you trying to do? Sensing old monster Yin Qi's aura rapidly approaching, the group of trapped Martial King experts were about to cry. They recognized Luo Qingtong as their master because they wanted to live. However, Luo Qingtong's way of playing scared them. What are you afraid of? I won't let you die. Luo Qingtong took out the heart of the 1,000-year soul guiding tree. With a few rustling sounds, the soul power of the 5 Martial King realm experts who had just died was sucked out and disappeared into the heart of the 1,000-year soul guiding tree with silent screams. Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows when she sensed that the 1,000-year soul guiding tree's core had absorbed the 5 people's soul power and transformed it into some power. Not bad. This little bit of power was enough for her to use a killing move that surpassed the one she had used to kill the killer in the inferior Martial King realm. But this was still not enough. Old monster Yin-Chi's strength was comparable to an ordinary martial emperor. Even if his meridians were damaged, he would not be easy to deal with. Luo Qingtong still needed the help of these martial king realm experts to create opportunities. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Luo Qingtong's figure flashed, and in an instant, she had set up a formation in this cave. After doing all this, she raised her eyes and motioned for the battle slave experts to stand still. They also pretended to be controlled and stood there. The group of martial king realm experts trembled with fear as they watched. Not for anything else, but for the sake of the authenticity of the act, Luo Qingtong did not remove the puppet threads in their bodies. When old monster Yin-Chi came, wouldn't he control them at any time? Chapter 269. The group of martial king realm experts shouted in their hearts as they bitterly recovered their strength passively. The medicinal liquid that Luo Qingtong gave them was of the best quality. Almost the moment it entered their mouths, it began to recover their strength. Like old monster Yin-Chi, these people's meridians were more or less injured by the attack of the heaven-connecting divine beast. But under the effect of Luo Qingtong's medicinal liquid, these meridians' injuries were rapidly healing. Some of the people who had used the restrictive spell had the traces of the backlash in their bodies slowly disappearing. They were extremely shocked. They did not expect Luo Qingtong's refining ability to be so powerful. But no matter how powerful her refining ability was, it could not be converted into fighting strength. What's more, Luo Qingtong was just a little girl who had just entered the great general realm. What could she do against old monster Yin-Chi? Their lives were all tied up with Luo Qingtong. If the other party died, they would also die with him. The group of people was thinking in their hearts when old monster Yin-Chi, who sensed that something had happened here, quickly appeared in the cave. What's going on? Suddenly discovering the corpses of the 5 martial king realm experts, old monster Yin-Chi's face suddenly turned cold. He immediately looked at the bodies of the other martial king realm experts. When he saw that the puppet threads around their bodies were still there, he suddenly heaved a sigh of relief. It was good that these people were not out of control. At this time, he did not pay attention to Luo Qingtong and the others at all. After all, a group of martial marquis realm experts plus a great general realm beauty. Even if they all attacked together, he could easily kill them. There was no need to care at all. However, the moment he relaxed his mind, swish! Luo Qingtong, who had been standing there silently, suddenly raised her hand. Before the group of martial king realm experts could react, they felt the power of the threads around their bodies suddenly being pulled out. With a swish, they regained control of their bodies. The power in their bodies burst out at once. Do it! Luo Qingtong's voice was cold. As early as when she had just set up the formation, she had already pulled all the threads in the bodies of these martial king realm experts into her hands. At this moment, with a sudden pull, everyone immediately regained their strength and control of their bodies at the same time. This was much better than removing their control in advance and making old monster Yin-Chi suspicious and on his guard. Swish swish swish. After breaking free of control, the group of martial king realm experts instantly reacted and immediately rushed towards old monster Yin-Chi in the middle of the cave. You! Old monster Yin-Chi's face was full of shock and anger. He did not expect martial king realm experts to break free from his puppet thread's control. Seeing these martial king realm experts rushing over, the power of the silk threads around his body fluttered, and he was about to seal them again. At the same time, he hurriedly ordered the zombies guarding outside to rush in. Light. In an instant, the zombies that had been ordered to charge and were blocked outside. Luo Qingtong's clear and cold voice rang out. Left team front 4, right team back 8, left team front 8 steps. Luo Qingtong spoke so fast that the group of martial king realm experts did not react at first. Then, they suddenly realized that Luo Qingtong was teaching them how to walk. They immediately did as she said. Swish. Chapter 270. The power of those threads had all landed on empty air. Following Luo Qingtong's voice, the martial king realm experts had easily evaded the power of those threads that old monster Yin-Chi had shot out. It was as if they had appeared in another space as they walked. The power of those threads had clearly passed through their location, but they themselves were not affected in the slightest. Illusory space. Old Monster Inchi suddenly cried out when he saw this. He seemed to have some understanding of formations, and he immediately understood what was going on when he saw this scene. Luo Qingtong had used a formation to create another independent space in this cave. This space would change according to the changes in the formation. Apart from Luo Qingtong, the person who had set up the formation, no one else would be able to see through this space unless their formation skills were stronger than Luo Qingtong's. It was even more impossible to control and harm the people inside through this space. However, what Old Monster Inchi could not understand was how Luo Qingtong had seen through the power of his threads. After all, a relatively independent space meant that both sides would not touch each other. He could not harm the Martial King Realm experts, and they could not harm him either. Therefore, if the Martial King Realm experts wanted to deal with him, they would have to come out from that space. How had Luo Qingtong managed to make them enter the space in time when he had sent the power of his dancing threads over? Old Monster Inchi could not understand. At this moment, he would never have thought that Luo Qingtong would be able to clearly see through the power of the threads that had enveloped his entire body. Therefore, when he had attacked, Luo Qingtong had been able to timely remind the Martial King Realm experts to enter the space that had been opened up by the formation. Rumble. With Luo Qingtong's assistance, the Martial King Realm experts were instantly like tigers that had grown wings. After this experience, they finally understood that not only could Luo Qingtong remove the control of Old Monster Ghastly Puppet's soul seal, she could also see through Old Monster Ghastly Puppet's soul seal attacks. As such, what do they need to be afraid of? Previously, they were afraid of Old Monster Inchi only because the other party's puppet threads were terrifying. It was impossible to guard against them, and they were controlled in an instant. It should be known that even if the strength of both sides were similar, they would not be controlled by Old Monster Inchi like other low-level cultivators, and become puppets under the control of the power of the soul seal. However, losing control of their bodies in that instant was enough to cause them to lose the initiative in the battle, allowing Old Freak Inchi to gain the upper hand. Now that the latter had lost this powerful killing move, Old Monster Ghastly Puppet was no different from an ordinary martial king. Moreover, the meridians in his body were damaged. He couldn't display his full strength. Haha! Old Freak Inchi. To think that you would have such a day. The group of people who had fallen into the hands of Old Monster Inchi had suffered quite a bit of torture. At this moment, when they saw that the other party had completely lost the arrogance from before, their fighting spirit instantly erupted as they attacked Old Monster Inchi. In an instant, he was beaten to the point that he was in dire straits, battered and exhausted. All that was left of his arrogance was his head and face covered in dirt. You stinking woman. It's all your fault. At this moment, Old Monster Inchi finally reacted, no matter how stupid he was. This was all because of Luo Qingtong. If I don't kill this woman, I may very well die here. After all, my corpse puppets can't enter, and the power of the soul seal threads is unable to control these martial kings. As he thought of this, he forcefully withstood the attacks of the martial kings and charged towards Luo Qingtong. Chapter 271. Old Monster Inchi's expression was sinister. He didn't care about the injuries to his meridians, and burst out with a power that was enough to tear them apart. The power of those threads floated around him. If the group of martial king experts got too close to him, they would be controlled. Suddenly, he rushed out of the encirclement. Seeing him rush towards Luo Qingtong, the group of martial king experts suddenly cried out in alarm. Master! Be careful! After this series of events, the group of martial king experts was already convinced of Luo Qingtong's strength. Moreover, they had already sworn an oath to the heavens and earth to submit to Luo Qingtong. The word master naturally came out of their mouths. The group of battle slave experts who were guarding Luo Qingtong were even more anxious. They stood in front of Luo Qingtong and used their bodies to protect Luo Qingtong. Master! Get out of the way! Luo Qingtong's voice was deep. Suddenly, a powerful aura surged out from her body, pushing away the group of battle slave experts who had rushed in front of her. No one dared to make a move against her, and could only passively let her push them away. Master. Seeing this scene, the group of martial king experts and battle slave experts instantly became anxious. No matter how powerful their master was, she was only a great martial general. Even if Luo Qingtong was an immortal, it was impossible for a great martial general to fight against a high-class soul king expert. Even Little Pig, who was squatting on Luo Qingtong's shoulder and preparing to attack, was shocked. He knew that Luo Qingtong had killed a low-class martial king expert before, but a low-class martial king and a high-class soul king couldn't be compared at all. At that time, Luo Qingtong had used almost all of her trump cards to kill that low-class martial king. This old monster Yin Qi was an outstanding high-class soul king expert. Now that he had released the aura of a forbidden technique, his strength was even higher. She simply couldn't be his opponent. Was this woman's ego inflated, because everything had gone too smoothly for her? Little Pig stomped on the ground. He really wanted to use his two little hooves to hug Luo Qingtong's face and shake it with all his might to wake her up. There were many experts in this world. It was not as simple as she thought. She mustn't be too complacent and play herself to death. Oh my God! The little bit of power that I had saved with great difficulty, I'm going to squander it all again. Little Pig's heart was filled with grief and indignation as he watched the ghastly puppet old monster approach. Was it easy for it to secretly save up a little power to improve itself? It was going to be used up again. But for this woman, he had no choice but to use it. Otherwise, if that man came knocking and found out that something had happened to this woman, just thinking about it made her feel like she had nothing left to live for. While Little Pig was feeling depressed, Luo Qingtong concentrated all her mental power into her eyes. She didn't know how to use the power of the soul imprint, but Luo Qingtong was very clear on how to use her eye special ability. In her dark red eyes that flickered with a bloody light, she was able to clearly see the strength of the ghastly puppet old monster, including his weak points. If the ghastly puppet old monster wasn't injured, Luo Qingtong wouldn't necessarily be able to seize the opportunity to attack. Even if she did, she wouldn't necessarily be able to break through. However, old monster ghastly puppet's meridians had already been injured previously. Then, under the siege of a group of martial king realm experts, he had used a forbidden technique to withstand their attacks, adding injuries on top of injuries. Someone had already broken open a hole in a hard walnut for him, and even stabbed a knife into it. At this time, what did he need to do? Chapter 272. Swish. A dazzling black light suddenly lit up in Luo Qingtong's hand. The life and death dual right sword instantly appeared in her hand and transformed into the death blade state. In the next second, Luo Qingtong suddenly took a step forward with the heart of the thousand-year soul guiding tree in her hand. Boom! In the heart of the thousand-year soul guiding tree, the power transformed from the souls of the 5 martial king experts was instantly absorbed by her. At the same time, the death blade in Luo Qingtong's hand was placed horizontally. The power around her body quickly boiled and gathered towards the death blade in her hand. That ferocious and berserk power suddenly transformed into a crescent-shaped sword light, rushing towards old monster Yin Qi, whose eyes had suddenly widened. Heaven-conquering art. Heaven-seizing style. What? Looking at the sword light that was completely unlike what a great martial general could produce, old monster Yin Qi's ferocious face was full of shock. Sword light. This is a sword light that can only be produced by a martial king. And this attack is already enough to kill a low-level, no, a mid-level martial king. This woman, how did she do it? However, this power is still not enough. I am an upper-level soul king expert. This time, the power of a forbidden technique has erupted. This woman, does she think she can kill me like this? Haha, what a joke. Wait till I capture her. I must torture her thoroughly. I have never ravaged such a genius girl before. I must make her suffer unbearably and live a life worse than death. She dared to scheme against me. Old monster Yin Qi's face was ferocious. In an instant, he reacted and thought to himself. Looking at Luo Qingtong, his eyes regained their previous complacent and unfriendly light. Stinking woman, you have some ability. But this attack can't do anything to me. He looked up to the sky and laughed loudly. Under the shocked gazes of the martial king realm experts and battle slaves, he faced Luo Qingtong's attack and pounced at her with a shrill cry. Break this attack, capture this woman, and break this formation. When the time came, he would kill everyone here. Haha. Old monster Yin Qi's face was extremely ferocious. The smile on his face twitched like a ghost. Master. The group of martial king realm experts and battle slave realm experts also recovered from the powerful sword ray that Luo Qingtong had just brandished, and recklessly rushed forward. Master's attack may be powerful, but it's not enough against a high-class soul king like old monster Yin Qi. But just as they were thinking this, they heard old freak Yin Qi, who was rushing towards the sword beam, suddenly let out a sharp cry. Ah! That cry was incomparably miserable. Before the crowd could react, they saw the sword beam slash open old monster Yin Qi's body. No. Old monster Yin Qi's eyes bulged. Never had he imagined that there was actually an attack mixed within that sword light. In an instant, it struck the spot where he had been injured by the divine sky-connecting beast's power. How was this possible? That injury had long been healed by him. From the surface, it was impossible to tell that he had been injured. How did the other party know where the wound was? And it had accurately hit that spot. In an instant, it had ignited the power of the divine sky-connecting beast. You. Old monster Yin Qi looked at Luo Qingtong in shock, full of disbelief. Chapter 273. Bang! Old freak Yin Qi's corpse fell heavily to the ground. His eyes were wide open, and he died with his eyes wide open. He didn't know how Luo Qingtong did it. It could be said that he didn't die by Luo Qingtong's hands, but by the power of the divine sky-connecting beast entrenched in his body. But no one could see his injuries clearly, and no one would know where he was injured, and where the power of the divine sky-connecting beast had not been removed. How did Luo Qingtong know? Bang! As old freak Yin Qi's corpse fell to the ground, the cave became silent. Everyone looked at Luo Qingtong in shock. Those martial king experts' mouths were wide open as they looked at the two halves of old freak Yin Qi's corpse on the ground, and then looked at Luo Qingtong's calm expression as she sheathed her sword, and they couldn't stop swallowing their saliva. Oh my God! Was what they saw real? This was Master's doing? A great martial general had killed a high-class soul king? And it was that kind of expert with a special soul seal? One had to know that experts with special soul seals were much more powerful than those with ordinary soul seals. Their abilities were also much more strange. If it weren't for Luo Qingtong's array, their group of 7 or 8 people wouldn't have any chance of winning against the crazy old freak Yin Qi. And this was under the circumstance that the other party didn't have the help of a corpse puppet. But Luo Qingtong had directly killed the other party in front of them. This kind of visual and spiritual shock was simply too strong. In an instant, the group of martial king experts who had been forced to submit to Luo Qingtong felt an extremely reverent feeling towards the girl in front of them. They might not even have this kind of feeling even when facing someone stronger than them. Killing a high-grade soul king as a martial general, this was definitely the first person in history. More importantly, there were so many of them, but not a single one of them could see how she did it. Even though the strength of that attack was clearly formidable, it hadn't arrived at the level of being able to instantly annihilate old freak Yin Qi. Everyone thought about it and felt that it was inconceivable. Their reverence for Luo Qingtong was even greater. People were not afraid of others being stronger than them. What they were afraid of was not knowing how the other party was stronger than them. In the eyes of the martial king realm experts, Luo Qingtong's move was simply unpredictable. On top of that, the other party's ability to set up a formation, and the medicinal liquid that was fed into their mouths. Oh my God! Did they recognize an incredible master? Master? After a long period of silence, the group of martial king experts didn't dare to speak at all. However, the group of battle slave experts had already been stimulated by the fact that Luo Qingtong, a martial general, had killed a martial king who had just entered the martial king realm. At this moment, they quickly regained their senses and cautiously called out to Luo Qingtong. Yes. Luo Qingtong responded in a low voice and said casually, Dispose of the body and search for the things on him. Yes. As soon as she spoke, the atmosphere in the crowd became lively. The group of Martial King experts hurriedly volunteered to help. They didn't feel that this kind of behavior was degrading to their status at all. Oh my God! Being together with Master is really too stressful. Especially when they had just spoken rudely to Master. The group of people dejectedly carried old freak Inchi's body out. As for Little Pig, after the battle slave expert spoke, he immediately jumped up. His two little hooves grabbed onto Luo Qingtong's clothes, as if he couldn't wait to claw on her body. Fuck. Fuck. Quickly tell me how you did it. Master. Ancestor. Just as Luo Qingtong was about to speak, a voice sounded from outside at this moment. Chapter 274. Hearing this, Luo Qingtong got up and walked out of the cave. What's the matter? She walked in front of the group of Martial King realm experts. The peak Martial King realm expert took the lead and respectfully handed a book to Luo Qingtong. This is something we found on the Inchi old monster. It's a special secret technique. It should have been created by that old monster. Please take a look, Master. The peak Martial King realm expert was experienced and knowledgeable. As soon as he received this secret technique, he immediately felt that it was different from others. He immediately gave it to Luo Qingtong to take a look. Cheong Chi 100 changes. Luo Qingtong took the secret technique. Seeing the 4 words written on it, she instantly raised her eyebrows. She thought of the disguise of the Inchi old monster. Could it be the effect of this secret technique? Luo Qingtong opened the secret technique in her hand and was immediately attracted by it. She saw that it was written on how to use one's mental power and soul power to change oneself from the inside out. From the appearance to the body to the bones, it could be flawless. Even one's aura could be replicated. However, this kind of disguise was only on the surface. Once someone suspected your identity and sent their aura into your body to investigate, you would be exposed in an instant. But even so, it was already very powerful. Even one's aura could be replicated. If it was used in an assassination, it could be completely unexpected. Luo Qingtong thought and quickly glanced at the secret technique. She quickly grasped the essentials of this transformation secret technique. After all, her pupil technique was an ability that was activated by mental power. No one knew the usage of mental power better than she did. As for soul power, she didn't lack it. With a crackling sound, Luo Qingtong's figure instantly became taller and wider. All the bones in her body were reorganized in an instant. Her appearance, temperament, and aura also underwent a great change. In just a moment, she turned into the appearance of the peak Martial King realm expert in front of her. The two stood together like twins. From top to bottom, from aura to face, there was no difference. In an instant, the group of battle slaves and martial kings looked at Luo Qingtong with horrified gazes. This Master had grasped the usage of that secret technique so quickly. Did he not need to adapt at all? No. The main point was, Master? You're also a soul cultivator? The peak Martial King's voice trembled. My heavens! Mistress isn't just strong, she's also good at setting up formations and concocting medicine. Is she a soul cultivator? Could it be that what she used to kill that old freaking chi was a type of soul seal ability? However, Master's strength was not that high. Even if he could use the power of the soul seal, it would not be possible for him to kill old monster Inchi so easily, right? As the crowd thought about this, they were both shocked and confused. It was like a cat scratching. Yes. Luo Qingtong responded in a low voice. Seeing that her appearance was slightly different from that of the expert at the peak of the Martial King realm, she immediately adjusted her temperament. Soon, there was no difference between her and the peak Martial Emperor realm expert. Very good. Luo Qingtong made those martial kings turn their backs. She took the peak Martial King realm expert and turned around. Afterwards, those martial kings who had been with this peak Martial King realm expert for a long time couldn't recognize the two of them. Luo Qingtong nodded with satisfaction. With a crackling sound, she withdrew her aura and changed back to her original appearance. Let's go. Let's go back. Luo Qingtong said and was about to leave, but she was stopped by the group of martial kings who had recovered from their shock. Chapter 275. What's the matter? Luo Qingtong turned around and looked at them. The group of martial king realm experts raised their hands and pointed at the corpse of the Yin-Chi old monster. Master, this Yin-Chi old monster is on the hunting list of the Empire of Qin's sacred dynasty. Don't you want to take something from him so that you can claim the bounty in the future? Yes, Master. Although you may not be interested in the bounty, the sacred dynasties encourage this kind of hunting. In addition to the bounty, there are other rewards for those who have outstanding achievements, such as nobility, treasures, and so on. Yes. In addition, there are some special qualifications, such as bidding for the secret meeting's entrance card, which can also be obtained by claiming the reward. Master, you'd better not miss it. Oh, there's such a thing? Luo Qingtong did not expect there to be such a thing. Hunting list? What's that? Published by the Empire of Qin's sacred dynasty? What's the criteria? She asked with interest. It's just some evil people who are roaming around and doing evil. The government can't catch them for a while. In addition, there are some fierce beasts that appear in various places. If the local government can't deal with them, they will be reported to the sacred dynasty. The officials of the sacred dynasty will publish them on the hunting list for various cultivators to hunt. The group of martial king realm experts said. They had traveled extensively and naturally knew a lot of things. Master, this Yin-Chi old monster is ranked 56th on the hunting list. Killing him will give you merit points. In the future, when Master goes to the Empire of Qin's sacred dynasty, these merit points will be useful. The biggest advantage is that you don't need to be restricted by checkpoints when entering and leaving the cities. In addition, you will also enjoy certain privileges in the cities. After accumulating a certain amount of merit points, you can exchange them for a nobility title. Yes. The group of people talked at once. I see. Luo Qingtong thought. Then I'll take something. Anything will do? Yes. As long as it has the aura of the other party, the sacred dynasty will have a way to verify it. The peak martial king realm expert said. All right. Luo Qingtong nodded. She raised her hand, and a piece of cloth stained with old monster Yin-Chi's aura fell into her hand. She then stuffed it into the storage space of the waste product in her hand. This thing will naturally come in handy when Luo Qingtong arrives at the Holy Dynasty. Without anyone controlling them, the zombies outside all fell to the ground. Everyone casually cleaned up the battlefield and found several people on the hunting list. However, they were all small characters on the yellow list. Even if they killed them, they would not get any merit points. They would only get some rewards. Moreover, if they weren't the ones who killed those people, the Holy Dynasty would naturally have their own ways to determine that. The crowd didn't think too much about it. That old dog, his death is too easy. The crowd also discovered the corpses of many martial king realm experts. They were all captured along with them, and then killed by ghastly puppet. Many people knew each other, and they immediately felt an indescribable sorrow. Luo Qingtong observed her surroundings and suddenly realized that this place was not bad in the Nine Magi Mountains. Secluded and quiet. Perhaps the people around her could use this place as a stronghold. She could also use old monster Yin-Chi's name to act as a cover. After all, the royal treasury in Luo Qingtong's storage rings should be found somewhere for the Luo family to store, right? She thought that this place was pretty good. With that thought, Luo Qingtong left a group of martial king realm experts here, and let them clean up the valley for future strongholds. Chapter 276. The group of experts did not know why Luo Qingtong suddenly changed her mind, but since it was their master's order, they naturally obeyed. Immediately, the group of martial king experts stayed behind. Luo Qingtong led a group of martial marquis-level battle slaves into the city. In any case, a group of martial marquis-level experts were enough to deal with in Wingei's city. Bang! Luo Qingtong had just reached the entrance of the Luo residence when the door opened with a bang, and a person was instantly sent flying out. Scram! If you dare to step into the Luo residence again, We will break your legs. An angry voice came from behind the Luo residence's door. Then Luo Qingtong saw a group of Luo residence's iron guards rushing out. Humph! Our master and young miss pitied you and sent me to persuade you. You Luo residence's iron guards, don't be so shameless. What are you shouting about? Break my legs? I will stand here and let you hit me. Do you dare to hit me? Humph! Who doesn't know that the Luo family is about to be finished? Old Master Luo's cultivation has regressed, and he is about to become a cripple. The king has already ordered to abolish his duties as the commander of the 3 armies and take back his authority to command the 3 armies. The Luo family of this generation. It is about to decline. In the future, only our master and young miss will be able to stand on top of the family. What future do you have if you follow an old man who will become a cripple at some point in time? It is better to rely on our master and young miss. In the future, there will be plenty of benefits for you. That person was thrown out of the Luo residence, but he was not afraid. He got up from the ground and looked up at the Luo residence's iron guards with a face full of arrogance. Let me tell you, if it wasn't for your strength, our master and young miss would not have bothered to give you this chance. The Luo family will soon go bankrupt. You should obediently lower your heads and follow me back to... Speaking up to here, that person suddenly flew out with a bang. He slammed into the ground in a parabola, and then slammed into the foot of the stone lion in front of the Luo residence's gate. In the next second, with a bang, a delicate and small boot heavily stepped on his chest, fiercely stomping the servant who was dizzy from the impact. Bang! That person fell on the stone lion and heaved a heavy sigh. Before he could get up to see who had hit him, he was ruthlessly stomped back to the ground. There was a cracking sound in his chest, and his entire sternum caved in. It was so painful that he screamed like a pig being slaughtered. Who hit me? Let me tell you, Luo family's iron guards. I was sent by Second Master and Miss Ning. Our Second Master is now a loyal and courageous duke. You hit me, are you trying to? What do you want? The voice was clear and did not carry a trace of coldness, but it made one's heart turn cold for no reason. It suddenly rang in his ears. That man's pig-like voice suddenly stopped, and his eyes widened as he looked at Luo Qingtong, who was stepping on his body. Big, 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 big. Before he could finish his words, the guards at the gate of the Luo clan had already reacted. They were pleasantly surprised to see the red-clothed girl in front of them. Young miss, please come back. Young miss. The crowd was indescribably excited, but the servant who had just spoken fiercely shuddered. Young Miss Luo? Didn't they say that her foundation was damaged in the 9 Magi Mountain? Although she was lucky enough to break through to the martial master realm, she was unable to advance further, and was ashamed of her inferiority to the point that she did not dare to appear in front of others. Chapter 277. The servant shuddered as he thought of this. However, he soon realized what was going on. No, why should he be afraid? If it weren't for Luo Qingtong, the Luo family wouldn't be in such a predicament. One had to know that his master and Miss Ning wanted to deal with Luo Qingtong because she had angered Tianyu's royal family by breaking off the engagement with grandfather Luo. If it was before, he might have been afraid of Luo Qingtong. After all, without strength, she still had the status of the 5th prince's wife. But now Tianyu's royal family wanted to teach the Luo family a lesson. All the nobles of Dongli country were busy standing in the way. Even the royal family had given up on the Luo family. What was there to be afraid of? Thinking of this, he immediately raised his head. So what if she's the eldest daughter of the Luo family? The current Luo family is no better than a chicken. Let me tell you, in the future, the Luo family in Wengai's city will only be the Luo family built by our master and Miss Ning. Your duke residence will be nothing in the future. You won't even be able to keep your duke residence. In addition, other than the status of the 5th prince's wife, what else can you use to compare with our Miss Ning? You still don't know, right? Our Miss Ning has already broken through to the martial general realm. She's already a 4th grade martial general. Look at yourself. That servant looked at Luo Qingtong's disguised martial master strength and snorted coldly. His disdain was extremely strong. Damn it, where did this idiot come from? When they saw this scene, the group of battle slave experts that were hidden in the shadows almost gnashed their teeth to pieces. Where did this stupid dog come from? Biting people as soon as he caught them. Did he know their master's true strength? If he said it out loud, he would be scared to death. Their master had just taken in a bunch of martial king experts and killed a high-grade soul king, okay? A 4th-grade martial general dared to be arrogant in front of their master. They really wanted to rush out and torture this bastard to death. But their master said that without her orders, they were not allowed to reveal their whereabouts or make a move. How infuriating. The group of battle slave experts were furious, but Little Pig, who was in Luo Qingtong's sleeve, was delighted. Oh my god. I'm dying of laughter. Aya. Woman, you're being looked down upon. Aya. A 4th-grade martial general was so powerful. I'm so scared. Tell me, why don't I just defect and go to live with his young miss? Maybe his family's young miss is even stronger than a high-class soul king as a 4th-rank martial general. She can kill you in an instant. Little Pig was laughing so hard inside Luo Qingtong's sleeve that he fell down. It shook her sleeves and made her robe sway. Luo Qingtong's lips twitched as she listened to the voice transmission in her mind. The next second, bang. Before the servant could react, Luo Qingtong kicked him to the door of the Luo family, and he knelt down. His back was bent like a shrimp, and under Luo Qingtong's kick, he couldn't even straighten his back. His eyes were wide open as he pointed in Luo Qingtong's direction. He was shocked and terrified, but he couldn't say a word. Luo Qingtong calmly walked past him. Make him kowtow 100 times as an apology for my grandfather and the Luo family. Then chop him into 8 pieces and send them to his master. Let them know the consequences of being heartless and ungrateful. Tell Luo Xinning that I'll collect the debt she owes me and the Luo family. Tell her to wait for me. As Luo Qingtong spoke, she walked into the Luo family's gate like the wind. Chapter 278. Grandfather. In Old Master Luo's room, Luo Qingtong stepped into it, and saw Old Master Luo lying on the bed with white hair. The latter is lying on the bed with a pale face, without a trace of blood on his face. That face looks a lot older than when Luo Qingtong left, completely without the previous hale and hearty spirit. Layers of twilight shroud his body, especially the white hair on his temples. Who knows how much more it is than before? What's going on? Luo Qingtong looks at Luo Leoi like this and rushes forward to take his pulse. Eldest Mississippi Luo Leoi's personal guard, who followed Luo Qingtong into the room, kneels on the ground with a bang. This subordinate did not protect him well enough. The Marquis suddenly became like this 3 days ago. His cultivation is constantly dissipating, and now, the guard commander's face is full of pain. He's only left with the cultivation of a great martial general. Great martial general? That's still too little. Luo Qingtong's face is cold as she lets go of Luo Leoi's wrist. She just checked Luo Leoi's pulse with her breath, and found out that his strength has already dropped to the 6th level of a martial general. His cultivation is still declining sharply. Under Luo Qingtong's probing, Luo Leoi's meridians are constantly shrinking. Those meridians that had already been opened and were incomparably spacious would once again revert back to their original state, before they were opened and opened. A martial artist's power is stored and circulated in these meridians. When these meridians return to their original state, the power derived from the open meridians will naturally dissipate. Luo Leoi's strength is declining again and again. The speed is extremely fast. In less than 3 days, he will completely turn into an ordinary person. This is even more unbearable than crippling the Dantian. After all, after crippling the Dantian, as long as the Dantian is repaired, the power that dissipated will come back again. But for someone like Luo Leoi who was forced to disperse his cultivation, if he wants to regain his previous strength, he can only cultivate again. He had to cultivate again. How old is Luo Leoi? The strength that he cultivated for most of his life is gone in 1 day. How much time does he have to cultivate back to his original strength? And in this turbulent period of the Luo family, Luo Qingtong can imagine that the person who did this to Luo Leoi wanted to anger him to death. Humiliate him. Luo Qingtong's cold eyes look at the blood on Luo Leoi's lips. The blood has not completely dried up yet. Luo Laoi was awake before, but he was angered to vomit blood and fainted. The Luo Laoi, who else could it be? Luo Lei's life? Now he's old Luo's blood's SS Luo Qingtong's eyes turned indescribably cold at the thought of that person claiming that old Master Luo would be a cripple in the future. What the hell is going on? Who did this? Of Luo everything's Luo's miss we haven't. The Iron Guard commander thought Luo Qingtong was asking about him. Just as he was about to answer, a series of bangs came from outside. A group of people appeared in front of the door and knelt on the ground. Master! The battle slaves who stayed behind to look after Luo Laoi broke out in cold sweat. They knelt on the ground and didn't dare to raise their heads. Chapter 279. Speak. Luo Qingtong's eyes were cold, and she had no intention of telling them to get up. What did she tell them before she left? They had to keep an eye on grandfather Luo, and not let anything happen to him. But now? Her grandfather was lying unconscious on the bed, and he had been angered to the point of vomiting blood by a bunch of clowns. Was this how they protected her grandfather? Forget about the group of Martial Lord Realm battle slaves. They had been captured by old monster In Chi, so they couldn't care about Wingay City. But what about the people left behind? Were they all dead? If that was the case, what use did she have for them? She might as well kill them one by one. Luo Qingtong was furious. If it weren't for the fact that Grandpa Luo was still unconscious in the room, she would have kicked all of them out of the room. Suppressing the anger in her heart, she had already given them a lot of face. Just as Luo Qingtong was enraged, the Luo family guard commander who wanted to answer was dumbfounded. A row of martial general and martial lord realm cultivators? They were kneeling in front of their young miss, and all of them were so respectful and fearful? He wasn't dreaming, was he? The commander of the Luo family's guards fiercely rubbed his eyes. The group of Luo family's guards outside the room felt it even more directly. Looking at the group of experts kneeling outside the door, they felt a shock in their hearts. It was as if their souls were about to be shaken out of their bodies. Oh my God! Is this real? Just as the group was shocked speechless, the remaining battle slaves heard the cold anger in Luo Qingtong's voice, and they immediately panicked and hurriedly kowtowed. Master, we have failed in our duty. We didn't expect the Luo family's second master to attack Grandfather Luo. By the time we reacted, it was already too late. As the group spoke, they kowtowed loudly. They really didn't guard against the Luo family. But who would have thought that Luo Lauer, the son of Grandpa Luo, would actually lay his hands on Grandpa Luo? Logically speaking, he and the Luo family were bound together for good or ill. If Grandfather Luo and the Luo family were to fall, what good would it do him? But Luo Lauer did it. Moreover, it was done silently. Due to his special identity, and the fact that the poison he fed old Master Luo did not take effect immediately, no one noticed it. It was only when old Master Luo began to disperse his cultivation that they realized something was wrong. They immediately went through everything and set their sights on the second old Master Luo. But there was nothing he could do now. Old Master Luo had fallen into the trap. Its second master? The Luo clan's iron guards were shocked when they heard this. They didn't have time to think about how Luo Qingtong could have so many experts by her side. It's him. No wonder he immediately set up a new sect after the Marquis fell. And he even said something about continuing the glory of the Luo family. I won't let the Luo clan's roots end in the hands of eldest miss. Bastard, it's simply abominable. The Luo clan's iron guards were furious. They were kept in the dark before and didn't know the truth of the matter. Although they were angry at Luo Lauer for adding insult to injury, they didn't think that Luo Lauer's accident was related to him. After all, Luo Lauer and the Marquis were father and son. They never thought that Luo Lauer would dare to do such a disgraceful thing. Bastard, is he still human? The Marquis is their father and grandfather. How dare he use such a dirty method to destroy the Marquis and the Luo family? Chapter 280. Luo Xinning. The bloody light in Luo Qingtong's eyes was cold. How could she not know that the second elder of the Luo family was cowardly and incompetent? He had ambition but no guts. He would never have thought of such an idea. It must be Luo Xining's idea. Of course, the royal family of Tianyu had contributed to this. Otherwise, where would they get the medicine to dissolve Elder Luo's cultivation? How could Luo Xining and the others get the medicine to dissolve a peak martial lord's cultivation? And to dissolve the cultivation instead of destroying it was enough to prove that the other party wanted to humiliate Elder Luo even more. The feeling of helplessness while watching one's cultivation drop was enough to drive anyone crazy. The royal family of Tianyu was taking revenge on Elder Luo for breaking off the engagement. They wanted to destroy Elder Luo's cultivation, remove the influence of the Luo family, and destroy the Luo family. How could the royal family of an imperial-level superpower be so disgusting? And Luo Xining, she was addicted to being a dog. She was willing to be called a bitch by the royal family of Tianyu. How dare they do this to grandfather and the Luo family? The bloody light in Luo Qingtong's eyes turned colder. At this moment, Elder Luo's weak voice came from the room. Qingtong? Old Master Luo opened his eyes and saw the fiery red figure sitting beside him. He thought he was seeing things. Grandfather. Seeing that Old Master Luo had woken up, Luo Qingtong hurriedly held his hand and helped him up. Cough. Qingtong, it's good that you're back. Grandfather is old and useless. I can't protect you. Elder Luo looked at Luo Qingtong with guilt. Grandfather didn't succeed in breaking off the engagement in the Tianyu Empire. Those bastards in the royal family of Tianyu insisted that the seventh princess was just playing around and wouldn't break off the engagement. They even warned us not to do too much. Grandfather was going to risk his life to prevent you from marrying into the Tianyu Empire, but, Grandfather, you'll be fine. Luo Qingtong held Elder Luo's hand and said word by word. She could hear the sadness in Old Master Luo's voice, like a hero past his prime. Losing his strength this time was a huge blow to Old Master Luo. For a martial artist, a former marquis, and a commander of the three armies, what could be more unbearable than losing his strength? You don't have to comfort Grandpa. Grandpa Luo forced a smile and patted the back of her hand. I've been in the military all my life. What haven't I seen? Wasn't it just a loss of strength? He was fine. I'll just cultivate again. In the past, I was able to cultivate to the peak of the martial marquis realm. Now I can do it again. I want those who want to laugh at me and the Luo family to see that even if I'm a cripple, I'm still the Duke Xinghua of the past. Old Master Luo's words were full of pride, but the Luo family's guards felt extremely sad when they heard it. Everyone knew that Old Master Luo was able to cultivate to the peak of the martial marquis realm, because he was young and energetic. But now he was already old, and his meridians were also aging. If he was given the same amount of time, he might not be able to cultivate back to the peak of the martial marquis realm. Moreover, the old man might not have that much time left. How many times could a person have half a lifetime? There was only one. Unless Old Master Luo's talent and physique became extremely strong, it was basically impossible for him to cultivate back to the original realm in this lifetime. Chapter 281. Luo Qingtong understood the meaning behind Grandfather Luo's words. He didn't want her to be sad because of him. But her silly grandfather. She could hide this matter for a while, but could she hide it forever? Just as Luo Qingtong was thinking about this, Old Master Luo changed the topic and said to her, So, Qingtong, you don't have to worry about me. Grandfather will definitely be able to cultivate back. But the current situation is unusual. Grandfather can't cultivate in peace if you're at home. How about this? Grandfather can see that you're doing well outside. Your martial master aura is much stronger than before. Why don't you continue to cultivate outside? Grandfather will prepare everything for you. When Grandfather's cultivation returns, I'll call you back. How about it? Luo Qingtong looked at Grandfather Luo, who was looking at her with a smile, and felt a lump in her throat. Even at this time, Grandfather Luo was still thinking about her. What do you mean by continuing to cultivate outside? What do you mean by calling me back when my cultivation returns? Grandfather Luo was clearly trying to send her away, so that she wouldn't find out that he couldn't cultivate back. At the same time, he wanted her to avoid this whirlpool. He wanted to shoulder the responsibility of this matter by himself. Your grandfather is really good to you. Little Pig's voice sounded in Luo Qingtong's mind. Even at this time, he still wants to arrange a way out for you. He's worried you. My grandfather is naturally the best. Luo Qingtong replied indifferently in her mind. Therefore, she also wanted to give her grandfather the best. In an instant, Luo Qingtong changed her mind. Initially, she had wanted to kill everyone who had humiliated old Master Luo. She didn't care how big of a storm this would cause. But this would definitely expose the fact that she had obtained the inheritance of the immortal sect. Everyone's eyes would be focused on her. She didn't care about herself, but what about grandfather Luo? Luo Qingtong didn't care about the entire Luo family, but she couldn't ignore grandfather Luo's thoughts and feelings. Moreover, she couldn't let grandfather Luo live the same life as her, where she had to hide everywhere and be on guard against others. Luo Qingtong suppressed the bloodthirsty thoughts in her heart when she thought of how she had attracted all kinds of covetous and murderous pursuits in her previous life, due to the exposure of her ocular skills. Grandfather, I'm not leaving. Don't worry, I can still support the Luo family. With your strength, there won't be a problem. Not only will you be able to cultivate back, but you'll also be stronger than before. Luo Qingtong's words. To others, losing one's cultivation might be a calamity, but for Luo Qingtong, she could turn this disaster into a happy occasion. Back then Luo Luos of Luo, and Luo of Luo Luoses. For this reason, she specially bought a bunch of herbs to refine the condensation pill for old Master Luo. But this time old Master Luo's act of dispersing his cultivation gave her another idea. Grandfather Luo was old, and his talent and meridians were already fixed. There wasn't much room for improvement in his strength. It wasn't impossible to use pills to improve his strength, but it wasn't the right way. And the improvement in strength wasn't stable. But if grandfather Luo could cultivate again, it meant that he had a chance to start over. Luo Qingtong could completely improve his aptitude and talent while he was starting from the beginning. By then, grandfather Luo's path of advancement would be wider than it was now. As for Luo Xinning, Chapter 282. Wingaze City. In another luxurious mansion, Luo Xinning strolled to the entrance and looked up at the two words Luo Residence hanging above the residence. She was indescribably pleased. Before this, who would have thought that the second branch of the Luo family would one day be independent and become a family that was not inferior to the marquis residence? Didn't grandfather Luo forbid her from inheriting the Luo family? Then let the Luo family die with him. So what if Luo Qingtong had the Luo family, without the title of Marquis Zhenghua, without grandfather Luo's power? Then what was the difference between the Luo family and a dead dog? Ha! Forbid me from inheriting the Luo family? Then you can pass down the Luo family to Luo Qingtong, which is at its lowest point. I don't mind at all. Luo Xinning sneered. With such a Luo family, how could Luo Qingtong raise her head in front of her? So what if she was the future wife of the fifth prince? She had no power, was useless, and was hated by the royal family of Tianyu. What could Luo Qingtong use to compete with her in the future? Except for that face. Thinking of Luo Qingtong's beautiful face, Luo Xinning's eyes flashed with hatred and jealousy. She raised her hand to touch the veil on her face. Just then clop clop clop. The sound of horse hooves came one after another. In a flash, a vigorous horse appeared in front of Luo Xinning and the rest. How dare you? Seeing that the horse was charging towards them, Luo Xinning's maidservant hurriedly shouted. Luo Xinning's face darkened as she gathered the power around her. Just then whoosh. The horse suddenly reared up, and came to a sudden stop in the midst of the high-speed charge. Humph. Trash like you are not worthy of being touched by the Luo family iron guard. Not even a horse. The guard riding on the horse looked at Luo Xinning with disdain. Luo Xinning's half-exposed face turned green instantly. He felt extremely carefree and laughed out loud. We are here to deliver gifts under the orders of the first miss. You people from the second branch of the Luo clan better keep it well. As he spoke, a huge red brocade box was thrown out by the Luo family guard and landed at Luo Xining's feet. In the next second, the Luo family iron guard suddenly flew up and headed straight for the huge Luo residence plaque above the mansion. When Luo Xining saw the huge red brocade box being thrown out, she thought it was a hidden weapon and instinctively dodged it. Just as he steadied himself, he heard a cry of surprise from behind him. Then with a loud bang, something fell down heavily. She turned around and was so angry that blood rushed to her head. On top of the mansion, the newly built and incomparably magnificent Luo mansion plaque had been blown to pieces and smashed to the ground. Bastard! How dare you! Haha! After the Luo family's iron guard succeeded, he laughed heartily and rode away on his horse. Our young miss said that the people of the Luo family's second branch are all heartless and ungrateful. You don't deserve the surname Luo. The Luo family has been loyal for generations, and we don't have descendants like you. From today onwards, the second branch of the Luo family is expelled from the Luo family, and you are not allowed to call yourself a disciple of the Luo family. Every time the Luo mansion plaque hangs up, we will smash it. Also, young miss said that you owe her and the Luo family a debt. She will come and collect it. Luo Qingtong. Standing in front of the broken plaque, Luo Xining was in a sorry state and trembled with anger. Chapter 283. Xining, what's wrong? A group of people came out and were shocked to see the scene at the gate, especially Madame Luo. Luo Xining was shaking with anger when she saw the sign at the gate was smashed. She cursed with her hands on her hips. Who did this? What's this? She saw the red brocade box on the ground. The gate of the Luo manor was in a mess. The red brocade box was especially eye-catching. Madame Luo, this was sent by Miss Luo. Luo Xining's maid said. Luo Qingtong? That little bitch, how dare she show up now? The second madam of the Luo family snorted heavily. If it weren't for her, our Luo family wouldn't have ended up like this. We still need my daughter to turn the tide. But that old man didn't appreciate it. My heart congealing has suffered. She opened the gate at such a young age, just to leave some foundation for the Luo family. If it weren't for Xining's potential and strength, the Luo family wouldn't have any bloodline left. Madame Luo's words were full of flattery for Luo Xining and herself. If this was in the past, many people would agree with her. But now they felt strange looking at the situation in front of them. Especially those maids who had been with Luo Xining and heard the guard's words, they felt even more awkward. The guard said that you were heartless and ungrateful, and chased you out of the Luo family. You're still flattering yourselves. You don't even know if it hurts. Madame Luo didn't know about this. She looked at the red brocade box and ordered, "Open it. I want to see what that girl, Luo Qingtong, sent over." Humph. The Luo family was like a tiger without its teeth. Madame Luo wasn't afraid of Luo Qingtong at all. She already knew from Luo Xining that Luo Qingtong had offended the royal family of Tianyu by breaking off the engagement. Princess Qi didn't like her at all. Now, Emperor and Empress of Tianyu had a great opinion of her. This time, the royal family of Tianyu wanted to vent their anger by suppressing the Luo family. Old man Luo dared to break off the engagement with the royal family of Tianyu. That was a slap to their faces. How could the Luo clan fare well then? In any case, the royal family of Tianyu only wanted to marry Luo Qingtong. As for what the Luo clan would become, they didn't care at all. Luo Qingtong, the future wife of the fifth prince, did not live up to her name. Since that was the case, what was there to be afraid of? If the Luo clan was defeated, the imperial family of Tianyu wouldn't stand up for her. That girl, Luo Qingtong, was a phoenix whose feathers had been plucked. Humph. Thinking of this, Madame Luo ordered her subordinates to open the brocade box. At this moment, Luo Xining regained her senses. She stood aside with a cold face and did not stop Madame Luo's actions. She wanted to see what Luo Qingtong had brought her. Old Master Luo's cultivation had already dissipated. Luo Qingtong's biggest support was gone. What else could she do? Yes. A group of Luo Manor's servants answered in fear and trepidation. They stepped forward and opened the brocade box. Bang! The moment the brocade box was opened, a sour and pungent smell mixed with the strong smell of blood instantly assailed his nostrils. The servant who was the first to open the brocade box saw what was in the brocade box. He immediately turned his head and vomited. Chapter 284. Bang! The brocade box rolled out of the servant's hand and hit the ground. A pile of minced meat rolled out of the box. There was a strong smell of blood all over the ground. A hideous head with a greenish-gray color rolled out of the box. Its eyes were wide open and looked in front of it in fear and shock. Ah! It's Wang Wu! It's Wang Wu! Seeing the head clearly, someone immediately cried out loudly. The servant who was the first to open the brocade box scrambled away in a hurry. Wang Wu! It was Wang Wu! Wasn't he ordered by Miss to persuade the Luo family iron guards to surrender? They didn't expect him to be chopped into minced meat and sent back. The Luo family iron guards had been angered by Wang Wu. In addition, Wang Wu had angered Master Luo to the point of vomiting blood. Luo Qingtong said that he would be chopped into 8 pieces. But now he was chopped into more than 80 pieces. If it wasn't for the head, who would recognize that it was a corpse? The group of people looked at the minced meat rolling out of the brocade box in horror. Luo Qingtong's methods were bloody and ruthless, which terrified them from the bottom of their hearts. That gentle and weak young miss seemed to be just an illusion in their memories. The group of people's teeth chattered. Luo Xining's face was also very ugly. This scene had a huge impact on her. Luo Qingtong's methods were so cruel. What right did she have? Master Luo's strength was already crippled. The Luo family was almost completely isolated and besieged. Under such circumstances, she still dared to act so arrogantly. Did she think that her identity as the future wife of the 5th prince was still so useful that no one dared to offend her? Luo Qingtong, you are too arrogant. Luo Xining was furious. Luo Qingtong first chased them out of the Luo family, destroyed the plaque of the Luo residence, and then gave them such a bloody gift. This was putting her face in front of everyone, slapping and stomping on it. Luo Qingtong. She gritted her teeth in anger. Then, she seemed to have realized something and hurriedly left the room. Oh. Luo Xining went to the place where the people from Tianyu branch stayed. On the other side, Luo Qingtong, who had been paying close attention to the dissipation of old Master Luo's strength, so that she could nurse him back to health at the best time, sneered and raised her eyebrows when she heard the report from the battle slaves. She reacted quickly, not wanting to expose her strength in front of others. Luo Qingtong originally planned to send someone to do it tonight. However, he did not expect Luo Xining to be so vigilant. She immediately went to the place where the people from Tianyu branch were staying. Tianyu branch. Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes. Luo Qingtong wouldn't have cared if the other party was just a school of Tianyu Empire. Just like how she didn't care about the royal family of Tianyu protecting Luo Xining. However, although the Tianyu branch was in the Tianyu Empire, it was actually a branch of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. The Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin, the highest academy of the Empire of Qin, with many masters and powerful forces. Luo Qingtong was not sure that she could kill Luo Xining without leaving any traces. For the Luo family and Luo Laozi, Luo Qingtong suppressed the bloodthirsty thought in her heart. She would let Luo Xining live a little longer. She was relying on the strength that the royal family of Tianyu gave her. She was waiting for the enrollment of the Tianyu branch to amaze the world. At that time, she would break her hope and break her wings. Then, she would see how she could fly. A 4th-grade general, the #1 genius of the Luo family, and even the Dongli country. Chapter 285. I got it. Leave her alone for now. What about the second son of the Luo family? Luo Qingtong's voice was cold. When she mentioned the second son of the Luo family, there was not the slightest bit of respect and no trace of emotion. In the entire Luo family, Luo Qingtong only cared about grandfather Luo. As for the others, if they knew their place, she didn't mind protecting them for grandfather Luo's sake. But if they didn't, Luo Qingtong's smile was cold. According to Master's orders, we captured them alive. The peak-level battle slave expert said in a deep voice. Very good. Luo Qingtong turned to look at Grandfather Luo, who was sleeping soundly in the room. Lock them up first. Wait for me to deal with them. Grandfather Luo had reached the critical moment of dispersing his cultivation. Luo Qingtong had to ensure that his foundation wasn't damaged. During this process, there couldn't be any mistakes. Luo Qingtong definitely wouldn't leave Grandfather Luo at this time. Yes, the group of battle slaves all responded, and then quickly disappeared from the Luo family's courtyard. The surrounding iron guards were already numb from watching. Their young miss was not an ordinary person. So what if a martial lord expert was obedient? The array that injured the two peak-level martial lord experts who came looking for trouble was set up by their young miss. They only knew about it when Luo Qingtong upgraded the array. After obtaining the treasures from the Tianyu family's treasury, Luo Qingtong's first priority was to use them for the Luo family. Not only did she upgrade the protective array outside, she also specially set up a small killing array in Grandfather Luo's courtyard. When the two arrays are superimposed, if anyone below the martial emperor realm dared to look for trouble, they would be seriously injured even if they didn't die. She wanted them to be unable to crawl out of the Luo family. This was also to guard against the Tianyu family, to prevent them from doing anything harmful to Grandfather Luo. At night, Luo Qingtong helped Grandfather Luo lie down, who had just finished dispersing his cultivation, and was weaker than an ordinary person. Looking at the usually strong and healthy Grandfather Luo being tormented like this, although it was a blessing in disguise, Luo Qingtong's evil fire still burned vigorously in her heart. If the person who harmed Grandfather Luo was someone else, it would be fine, but it had to be the second son of the Luo family. It's said that crows can feed. Luo's conscience was eaten by a dog. He was cowardly and incompetent. If it wasn't for Grandfather Luo, how could he live a good life? For a little bit of benefits, betrayed his own father. Give Grandfather Luo Luo? Push Grandfather Luo to his death? Luo Qingtong's bloodthirsty and grandfather's is Grandfather Luo Luo. Take good care of the old man. If anything goes wrong, you don't have to see me anymore. She said coldly to the group of battle slave experts in the dark, then turned around and left the room. Come. Let's go see our second master Luo, the Duke of Loyalty and Bravery. Luo Qingtong sneered and brought Little Pig out of the Luo family. In the dark and damp cave, Grandfather Luo's heart was filled with indescribable fear. He didn't know why he suddenly appeared in this place. Shouldn't he be drinking in the restaurant outside? Everyone flattered him, and called him the Duke of Loyalty and Bravery. Countless beauties even threw themselves at him. These days, he was as happy as a celestial being. He didn't expect to appear here in the blink of an eye. Is anyone there? He shouted hysterically. I'm telling you, I'm the Duke of Loyalty and Bravery. My daughter, Luo Xining, is going to enter Tianyu Branch Academy soon. She is highly valued by the Tianyu royal family. Let me go, or else... Chapter 286. Who? Quick! Get them to release. Luo Qingtong? Luo family's second master looked at the fairy-like face in front of him in horror. Luo Qingtong, why is it you? Why isn't it me? Who does second uncle think it is? Luo Qingtong waved her hand, and a general-level battle slave expert immediately brought a chair for her. Luo Qingtong flicked her sleeves and sat on the chair. Her 5 slender fingers calmly placed on the black gold armrest. She then raised her head and looked at Luo family's second master, who was panicking. Second uncle, why are you panicking? Isn't it good that I came to see you? Or is it that when second uncle saw me, he thought of something that made him feel guilty? As Luo Qingtong spoke, she flicked her pale crystal fingernails. Luo Qingtong, you don't talk nonsense. What's there for me to feel guilty about? Luo family's second master's face was fierce. He didn't know why, but when he saw Luo Qingtong, he felt a wave of guilt. Why would Luo Qingtong appear here and look like she was denouncing him? Luo family's second master's face was full of fear and trepidation, but he forced himself to remain calm. He had done this very secretly. Luo Qingtong definitely wouldn't know. Not to mention her, even old Master Luo wouldn't know. Thinking of this, he raised his voice and shouted. Luo Qingtong, I don't know where you went to collude with these people, but I advise you to quickly let me go. You probably don't know, but Xian Ning has already been selected as one of the candidates for Tianyu Branch Academy's enrollment. And once she enters, she will enjoy the treatment of a genius student. Luo family's second master regained some courage and raised his head. In the future, the Luo family will rely on Xian Ning to support it. Your cultivation, strength, and potential can't compare to Xian Ning. You will have to rely on her in the future. Don't think that you are so great just because you can marry the fifth prince and become his princess consort. There are many experts in Tianyu Empire, without anyone to rely on, who will think highly of you. Heh! Before the second master of the Luo family finished his words, Luo Qingtong burst into laughter. So, this is the reason why you harmed the old man? Luo Qingtong thought she would hear something else. Luo Xinning had already been selected by Tianyu Branch. Would the Luo family still need Luo Xinning to support them in the future? She was inferior to Luo Xinning in every aspect. Why would she need Luo Xinning's help in the future? Ah, so that's the reason. Luo Qingtong lost her interest in entangling with the second master of the Luo family. Such an idiot. Just because of his daughter's virginity, he could disregard his family and his father, drugging old Master Luo and forcing the Luo family to the brink of destruction. Luo Qingtong felt that talking to him was a waste of time and energy. Pa! She stood up and tossed a bottle of medicinal liquid to a battle slave expert beside her. Second uncle, don't blame me for not giving you a chance. You crippled the old man's strength. As for me, I won't cripple your strength. Not only that, I will increase your strength. As she spoke, she ordered the battle slave expert, feed him this medicine. Luo Qingtong, what are you doing? The second master of the Luo family, who originally wanted to deny Luo Qingtong's words, heard Luo Qingtong's order to the battle slave expert, and his expression changed. If you dare to do anything to me, Xian Ning won't let you off. Is that so? Then I will wait for her. Luo Qingtong's smile was cold. As she spoke, she released the aura around her. Chapter 287. Luo Qingtong Yu. How is this possible? Luo Qingtong was actually at the Great Martial General realm. How was this possible? Didn't she just break through to the Martial Master realm after coming out of the Jiuwu mountain range? How could she reach the Martial Master realm in such a short time? Furthermore, Second Master Luo rubbed his eyes and realized that Luo Qingtong's aura was extremely stable. It didn't seem like she had broken through in a hurry, or with the help of medicine. Even though Luo Xinning was a rank 4 martial general, the aura around her was weak. She could only unleash 50% of the power of a rank 4 martial general. If it wasn't for the fact that she was still young, had a solid foundation, and had great potential, Tianyu Branch wouldn't have wanted such a 4th-grade martial general. However, Luo Qingtong's aura was more than 10 times stronger than Luo Xinning's. The words that the second master of the Luo family had said to praise Luo Xinning had all turned into slaps on his own face. The Luo family had to rely on Luo Xinning in the future? With Luo Qingtong's current strength, she was miles ahead of Luo Xinning. Furthermore, Luo Qingtong was only 1 or 2 years older than Luo Xinning, but her strength was at least 1 level higher than Luo Xinning. How could she compete with Luo Qingtong in terms of talent, potential and strength? How could Luo Xinning compete with her? It was no exaggeration to say that if both of their strengths were displayed at the same time, Luo Xinning would be like a piece of garbage on the roadside. No one would care about her. Luo Qingtong was so strong and had so much potential. Why would she need Luo Xinning to support the Luo family? People would laugh their heads off if they knew about it. Luo Xinning and the others thought that they had left the Luo family behind. However, the moment Luo Qingtong came back, the boat turned into an aircraft carrier. The Luo manor that they had built was a complete joke. Second Old Master Luo was so shocked that he could not speak. Luo Qingtong could not be bothered with him anymore and walked out directly. Feed him the medicine and find a group of hungry beasts. Lock her up with him. Luo Qingtong, What do you want? Ah. No. Don't come any closer. Ching Tong. Second uncle was wrong. Second uncle will apologize to you. Go kowtow to the old man and admit your mistake. I was wrong. Second Master Luo first shouted fiercely. Seeing that Luo Qingtong had no intention of turning back, he suddenly cried and begged for mercy in tears. Qingtong, I beg you. Can you let me go? I'm your second uncle. We're a family. Qingtong. I must have been possessed. Just let me off this time. Luo Qingtong listens to these voices without turning her head. Her beautiful face was filled with an austere and cold aura. Qi. Now you know you were wrong? Where did he go? Second uncle? Other than old Master Luo, she had no other relatives. Moreover, she didn't have any relatives who could harm her father so casually. If it wasn't for the fact that he had fallen into his hands, if it wasn't for the fact that he could only be slaughtered by him, would he admit his mistake? Wasn't he quite arrogant just now? She wouldn't let go of anyone who dared to harm old Master Luo and the Luo family. The medicine that second Master Luo drank was specially made by her. If he didn't use his power, nothing would happen. However, once he used his power, he would be one step closer to exploding. Lock him up with those hungry beasts. How he dies is up to him. If he used his power, he would explode. If he didn't use his power, he would be eaten alive by those hungry beasts. Chapter 288. Mistress. A powerful battle slave knelt in front of Luo Qingtong. Luo Xinning has returned to the Luo residence. Oh. Luo Qingtong's voice was faint as she raised her head casually. Little Pig jumped from her shoulder into her arms. Luo Qingtong's voice was cold as she stroked its light fur. She dares to return at this time. She must have something to rely on, right? Just a moment ago, he ran to the Tianyu Branch Academy's residence like a stray dog. Now he dared to come back? Luo Qingtong sneered in her heart. She had learned from the guards of the Luo family that Luo Xian Ning had brought two powerful cultivators from the royal family of Tianyu to the Luo family. She wanted to force grandfather Luo to abdicate his position and become the successor of the Luo family. However, she was injured by her own array and escaped like a dog. It was probably then that she found out that the Luo family was secretly protected by someone and wanted to destroy it. She changed her mind and attacked the Luo family. If not, why did she run to the Tianyu branch's place in fear when she sent someone to send a gift? If Luo Xinning was as timid as a mouse, she would have no interest in dealing with her. Yes, mistress is very observant. Luo Xinning is a disciple of a teacher from the Tianyu branch who came to recruit students. She has already been accepted as his last disciple. She will be accompanied by someone from the Tianyu branch. The battle slave paused and said to Luo Qingtong, "That teacher has a bad impression of mistress because of Luo Xinning's words." This time, he called Luo Xinning back. Obviously, he wants to back her up. Back her up? Luo Qingtong's lips curled up, cold and enchanting. I'm afraid he can't back her up. However, Luo Xinning was quite capable. Luo Qingtong did not believe what the battle slave said. It was that teacher who insisted on calling Luo Xinning back. I'm afraid that woman is up to something again, right? She was so pitiful that she was bullied by her elder sister. Naturally, she was lovable. She was also a good seedling with good talent and strength. Naturally, there would be people who would jump out to be her tool. However, did Luo Xinning think that she could rest easy? Luo Qingtong gently stroked Little Pig's fur and gently tapped its little head. Go. Let's go back to the Luo family and give Luo Xinning a big present. Did she think that he wouldn't be able to do anything to her just because she had the protection of the people from Tianyu branch? Luo Qingtong's smile was enchanting. Luo Xinning had underestimated her. If she wanted to deal with someone, even if the Heavenly Emperor was protecting her, she would still make the other party suffer. However, Luo Xinning was not worth it for her to expose her power. She would collect some interest first. Give me a list of all the things that the royal family of Tianyu, the aristocratic families, and the royal family of Dongli have given me over the years. After returning to the Luo Jia, Luo Qingtong called the steward in charge of the treasury and ordered him. Yes. Although the steward was surprised that Luo Qingtong suddenly thought of asking for these things, he still went to organize them. This steward was an old man by Luo Qingtong's side. He was absolutely loyal. His descendants were all in the Luo family iron guards. Otherwise, he would not have been sent to manage Luo Qingtong's things. After a while, all the books were sent over. Luo Qingtong randomly picked up a book. She opened it and saw the names of the people from the second branch of the Luo family. She immediately smiled. Pick a team of Luo family iron guards and follow me to the Luo residence. Chapter 289. In the Luo mansion, Luo Xining was serving an old man respectfully. He was the teacher from the Tianyu branch school, who came to recruit students. His surname was Chu, and he was known as Elder Chu. He was known to be overprotective and domineering in the Tianyu branch school. There were 3 other teachers who came with him to recruit students. He was the only soul master among them. He had just become a soul king, and his cultivation was not as good as the other 2 superior martial kings. However, he had a bad temper. Soul masters were highly valued in the various countries under the Holy Dynasty. Naturally, they were arrogant. Elder Chu was no exception. This time, he wanted Luo Xining as his disciple. After hearing about her relationship with the Luo family, he immediately said that he would help her and bring her back to the Luo mansion. Teacher, is this okay? Looking at Chu Lao instructing his servant to help her reinstall the plaque of the Luo mansion, Luo Xining felt complacent. However, on the surface, she looked anxious. The Luo family. My elder sister. Teacher. Seeing that she was like a frightened bird, Elder Chu felt pity for her. At the same time, he was also angry. You don't have to care about them. Teacher is here today. No matter who is supporting the Luo family, I will fight back. Don't worry about me. They are just a small Luo family. They can't do anything to me. So what if she is the future wife of the 5th prince? She really thinks that others are afraid of her identity and don't dare to stand up for her. Old Chu sneered at this point. You don't have to worry about this. Just sit here peacefully. Teacher will support you in everything. You can hang this plaque of the Luo manor for as long as you want. Not only will I hang it up for you, I will hang it up high. As for the Luo family, he said with a murderous look, I want to see who dares to make trouble for you. Even if it is your elder sister, I will make her kneel down and apologize to you. Elder Chu said resolutely. With Luo Qingtong's identity, he could not force her to apologize to Luo Xining. After all, she was the future wife of the 5th prince. Even if she was not favored, it would be a slap to the face of the Tianyu royal family. No matter how much Mr. Chu tried to protect Luo Xining, it was impossible for him to be so stupid. However, it would be different if Luo Qingtong came looking for trouble while he was here. At that time, even if he beat Luo Qingtong until she vomited blood and knelt on the ground, he could still say, I had no choice, I didn't mean to do it. He wanted to see if the Luo clan was really that bold. How dare they come looking for trouble when he was around? If they dared to come, he would definitely avenge his good disciple. Luo Xining was very obedient in front of Elder Chu and flattered him. Mr. Chu also liked to hear these words. Most importantly, Luo Xining was very good at talking. You would not feel disgusted when you were praised. Instead, you would feel that she was not bad. Chu Lao was very comfortable with the flattery. In addition, Luo Xining was not weak, and she was related to the royal family of Tianyu. Chu Lao took her in as his last disciple. As for the fact that Luo Xining's strength was forcefully raised, he did not care. Luo Xining was still young and her cultivation was not high. With a good foundation, this little bit of improvement would not be a problem. But, my elder sister is my elder sister. She can be heartless, but I can't be. Luo Xining bit her lips and said softly, as if she had been wronged. She knew that the more she acted like this, the angrier Mr. Chu would be. When the Luo clan came looking for trouble, Luo Qingtong's words made everyone speechless. Before they could think of a way to refute, Even Luo Qingtong suddenly waved the horsewhip in her hand. However, the second branch of the Luo clan has been hanging up our Luo residence's signboard one after another. They didn't even give up after it was smashed once. I'm thinking, are they so poor that they can't even make a new signboard? In that case, as their sister and niece, I naturally have to express my gratitude. As Luo Qingtong spoke, she raised her hand and knocked on her saddle. Come, bring up the new signboard I made for them. As she spoke, the Luo clan's guards behind her suddenly flashed out a path. Chapter 291. The dazzling color of the plaque made everyone's heart beat like a drum. One look and one could tell that this plaque cost a lot of money. Why was Miss Luo so generous? This didn't seem like her usual style of doing things. She was either smashing or hacking. Why was she so kind as to send a good plaque to the Luo manor? The more they thought about it, the more confused they became. However, when they saw the words on the signboard, they were unable to contain themselves and burst into laughter. 2 large words were inlaid on the glittering golden plaque. Go Manor. The 2 words didn't mean much, but when they thought about Luo Qingtong's previous actions, they understood why she sent a plaque. Wasn't she calling the second branch of the Luo family dogs? Luo Qingtong, you've gone too far. Luo Xining walked out of the Luo manor. When she saw the plaque sent by Luo Qingtong, she was so angry that she trembled. She didn't expect Luo Qingtong to be so arrogant when she knew that she was protected by a tutor from Tianyu branch. And Go Manor? What kind of plaque was this? We don't have anyone with the surname Go. We don't care about your plaque. Oh, no one with the surname Go. Did I remember wrong? That's impossible. Luo Qingtong sat on the red horse and pondered seriously. Then she clapped her hands in realization. That's not right. Isn't your mother Go? Oh no, it's Sun. Look at my memory. Luo Qingtong looked at Luo Xining with a smile. But what your family did makes me feel like they're dogs. It can't be helped that I've made a mistake. You'll have to bear with it. Besides, since this plaque has already been made and cost me a lot of money, you should just use it. Don't try to get involved with the Luo family again. What's more, I think this plaque suits you. Luo Qingtong said meaningfully. Luo Qingtong. Luo Xining was infuriated. This Luo Qingtong, how dare she? How dare they humiliate him in front of so many people? Who are you calling a dog? Luo Qingtong, you and I are sisters. Cousins. Luo Qingtong kindly reminded her. I'm the only one left of the Luo family's direct bloodline. In addition, your bloodline has been expelled from the clan. Go no Sun Xining, I'm not worthy of being your sister. Luo Qingtong said, glancing at the old man who appeared at the gate. A teacher from the Tianyu Branch Academy? Luo Qingtong pretended not to see it. Who asked her to be blind now? And it was Luo Xining who did it. Put up the plaque for them. Luo Qingtong waved her hand. Luo Qingtong. Luo Xining was about to faint from anger. Luo Qingtong was too arrogant. Too much. Was this still the Luo Qingtong she knew? Even when Luo Qingtong came back from the 9 Magi Mountain, she was not this arrogant. It was as if she didn't care about anything. How did she change so much? Luo Xining didn't know that Luo Qingtong had always been this arrogant. She didn't show it before because she didn't care about Luo Xining at all. But now, they touched Grandpa Luo and touched Luo Qingtong's reverse scale. It would be strange if she didn't kill them. Chapter 292. What's wrong? Are you so happy that you can't accept my gift? Don't worry, I have an even bigger gift to give you. The smile on Luo Qingtong's lips was evil. She was as beautiful as a flower, but in the eyes of others, she made them feel cold. Luo Xining looked at her and felt a chill in her heart. She grabbed her sleeves tightly. When she saw Elder Chu walking out, she calmed down. Luo Qingtong can be arrogant. The more arrogant she is, the better. She'll have a good time later. Luo Xining thought and calmed down. She took a deep breath and looked at Luo Qingtong. Elder sister, this is the last time I call you elder sister. You don't have to admit that I am from the Luo family, but I will not give up. Grandfather has lost his cultivation, and the Luo family is in a precarious situation. You can't support the Luo family, Luo Xinning said and raised her face, which was covered by the veil. Her eyes were full of pride. I am now a grade 4 martial general, and am valued by the Tianyu royal family and Elder Chu. I will be able to support the Luo family in the future. Big sister, I know you're very upset about my achievements, but you can't joke about the future of the Luo family. Yes. My father and I left the Luo family and started our own family, but I am thinking for the Luo family. I can't write the word Luo. I want to be independent so that the Luo family can have a better future. No matter how you humiliate me, I will not change my mind. I will continue the glory of the Luo family. Nothing you can do can change that. Bah. Before Luo Xinning could finish her words, the guards of the Luo family spat at her fiercely. Luo Xianning was too shameless to say that. If they didn't know the truth of the matter, they would have been deceived by their sanctimonious appearance of being considerate of the Luo clan. The second son of the Luo family was really good at putting on a show. They drugged the marquis and now they are trying to establish themselves as the savior of the Luo family. Where's your face? Luo Qingtong's face also turned cold. It wasn't that Luo Qingtong's words were too disgusting, but Luo Qingtong's words had deliberately revealed the fact that Luo Qingtong's cultivation had dissipated. Right now, the outside world still didn't know that old Master Luo had lost his cultivation. Even if they knew that the Luo family was being suppressed by the other aristocratic families and the royal family, they wouldn't have any special thoughts about it. However, Luo Xinning had exposed the fact that Master Luo had dissipated his cultivation. That was what she wanted. From an outsider's point of view, the Luo family was completely dependent on old Master Luo. Now that Master Luo had lost his cultivation, Luo Xinning, a promising second wife, had established her own mansion, and Luo Qingtong, the future wife of the fifth prince, was disliked by the royal family of Tianyu because of the annulment of the engagement. Wouldn't those with ulterior motives be tempted? Luo Xinning's words were equivalent to pushing grandfather Luo and the entire Luo family into a dead end. Luo Xinning, well done. The bloody light in Luo Qingtong's eyes was piercingly cold. Through her eyes, she memorized the faces of everyone present. She knew clearly who had ulterior motives and who had ulterior motives towards the Luo family. Luo Xinning wanted to use these people to deal with the Luo family? She was waiting for these people to come and see who could touch the Luo family. As for Luo Xinning, Luo Qingtong sneered. The Luo family? Before you say these big words, you'd better return the things that I took from you. Use my things to improve your power, establish yourself and support the Luo family? You're quite shameless. Chapter 293. Bang. The pile of account books fell to the ground with a deafening sound. What are these? Luo Xinning looked at the books on the ground and had a bad premonition. What was Luo Qingtong talking about? What were these account books? Of course they are the things that you have taken from me. They are all recorded here. All these years, how many things have your Luo clan's second branch taken from me? And where did you get your strength from? That way, people will know how ungrateful your family is. With my Tilo family? You don't deserve it. As Luo Qingtong spoke, she lazily pointed at the pile of account books and said to the Luo family guard beside her, "Read it." Yes. The Luo family's iron guard answered and stepped forward to pick up an account book and read it out loud. Year, month, day. What items were sent by the Tianyu imperial family? How much did the second branch of the Luo family take away? Year, month, day. Various treasures were sent by the aristocratic families and the imperial family. And how much did the second branch of the Luo family take away? Luo Xinning took away a large amount of resources, medicinal herbs, elixirs, jewelry, and spiritual weapons. There were also all kinds of calligraphy and paintings taken by the second master of the Luo family, as well as jewelry and decorations taken by the second madam of the Luo family. Everyone was shocked when they heard this. Why did they feel that Luo Qingtong's things were all taken away by the second branch of the Luo family? There were even some precious items that they were not allowed to take away. Why did they ask for them again and again? Until they were taken away? When everyone heard what the Luo clan's guard was saying, They couldn't believe what they were hearing. Wasn't the second branch of the Luo family too shameless? Oh my God! The Tianshan snow lotuses were taken away in bundles. Did the second branch of the Luo family think that they are cabbages? Yes. And the golden silk brocade. Those are tributes from the imperial family. The second branch of the Luo family took them all. Everyone murmured in their hearts. Originally, they were quite touched by what Luo Xinning said. They felt that Luo Qingtong was too much. But now, when these account books were thrown out, a subtle change occurred in everyone's hearts. To be honest, the things that were read out here were things that even the direct descendant of a clan might not be able to produce. Obviously, Luo Xianning's power was mostly due to this resource. Thinking about it this way, it was not that Luo Qingtong's strength and potential were not good. It was because she had provided all of it to Luo Xinning that her strength was not good previously. Furthermore, Luo Xinning's strength had only increased recently. In other words, even though she had enjoyed a large amount of resources in the Luo family, she was still not as good as Luo Qingtong. What right did she have to say that Luo Qingtong was jealous of her? If that was the case, Luo Qingtong would not give her those resources. And according to the things taken by the second branch of the Luo family, which of them were not the treasures given to Luo Qingtong by the major aristocratic families and the royal family? It could be seen that Luo Qingtong really treated them as her family. But what about the things they were doing now? No matter how dignified Luo Xinning's words were, the fact that she left the Luo family when the Luo family was in trouble, especially after taking so many things from Luo Qingtong, made everyone feel that their reason was not valid. In this way, the righteous words that Luo Xinning had just said were completely discounted. It was obvious that after taking all the benefits from the Luo family and Luo Qingtong, she set up her own family and drew a clear line between herself and the Luo family. She actually had the nerve to put gold on her own face. What did she mean by establishing a family and supporting the Luo family? As everyone thought about it, they looked at Luo Xinning with disdain and weirdness. Chapter 294. Luo Qingtong. Luo Xinning's face turned red. She did not expect that Luo Qingtong would do such a thing. She actually recorded all the things that she had bought from Luo Qingtong. This woman had been guarding against her since a long time ago. Was all her stupidity and cowardice in the past just a show for her? In fact, Luo Xinning was wrong. Most of the things that Luo Qingtong had were gifts from others. Since they were gifts, there should be a list. The elders of the Luo family were loyal to Old Master Luo and Luo Qingtong. If Luo Qingtong did not worry about it, someone would worry about it for her. That was how the account books were kept. In the past, Luo Qingtong did not take it seriously and did not think of telling Luo Xinning about it. Now that Luo Qingtong had taken over this body, she naturally knew about these things. She would not let Luo Xinning get away with it so easily. Biting the hand that feeds him? Ungrateful? She wanted Luo Xinning to spit out all the things that she had eaten before. All these things are recorded in the account books. You can deny it, but since these things are gifts, the person who gave them must have kept a record of them. Luo Qingtong's words blocked Luo Xinning's way of denying it. She was not the only one who had these things. She could easily find out the origin of any one of the things in the Luo residence. Luo Xinning listened and gritted her teeth, but there was nothing she could do. She thought for a while, and could only give up the idea of making a false accusation. Before she could think of a way to deal with it, Luo Qingtong's voice was heard again. As the saying goes, it is only right to repay one's debts. My things can be used by the Luo family. But since you have been expelled from the Luo family and established your own family, then return all these things. My things are not for traitors and ungrateful people to use. Luo Qingtong, don't go too far. Luo Xinning was forced by Luo Qingtong's words and had no other choice. Luo Qingtong's actions were all on the right side. Those things were given to them by Luo Qingtong in the past. If there was no account book, they could say whatever they wanted. But now the account book was there. If Luo Qingtong wanted to take back her previous things, she could do it. After all, although those items were Luo Qingtong's personal belongings, They were still considered Luo family's belongings after entering the Luo family's treasury. I went too far? Luo Qingtong laughed at Luo Xining's words. So, I asked you to empty out the Luo family, and then come back and say that saving the Luo family is the right thing to do? Luo Qingtong sneered at Luo Xining's speechless face and raised her right hand. If you don't want to return it, I can help you. All Luo family guards, if the Go family is unwilling to return the Luo family's resources, then we can only take them ourselves. Everyone charge into the Go family. Empty everything inside. Luo Qingtong wasn't here to argue with Luo Xining. She was here to embarrass Luo Xining. Unwilling to return it? Fine. She would smash the Go family and empty everything. Luo Qingtong, don't you dare. Luo Xining screamed when she saw the Luo family guards charging at them. Chapter 295. Enough. A voice was heard. Chu Lao could not stand it anymore. He had been waiting for Luo Qingtong to find fault with him, but after the latter appeared, he realized that Luo Qingtong's every word was related to family matters. It was not appropriate for him to intervene. This was totally different from what he had imagined. He thought that Luo Qingtong's appearance was to target Luo Xining and bully her poor disciple. But at the end of the day, he realized that Luo Qingtong did bully Luo Xining, but not in the way he thought. Luo Qingtong's actions were all based on logic. Even if he wanted to stand up for Luo Xining, he could not do anything about it. Of course, if the person standing here was not Luo Qingtong but someone else, even if he had reason, he had plenty of ways to bully others. However, Luo Qingtong was different. After all, this person was the future wife of the fifth prince. As long as she was not being unreasonable, he could not deal with her openly. Thinking of this, Chu Lao looked at Luo Qingtong with a sullen face and said, Miss Luo, enough is enough. No matter what, Xining is your sister. You have gone too far. Chu Lao thought that Luo Qingtong would not go too far with his words. However, Luo Qingtong looked at him blankly and asked calmly, Who do you think you are? How dare you talk to me like this? I am dealing with my family affairs. What does it have to do with you? When Elder Chu heard this, he was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Who did he think he was? Luo Qingtong dared to talk to him like this? Arrogant. She was too arrogant. She was 100 times more arrogant than what Luo Xining had said. Chu Lao was trembling with anger. At this moment, Luo Xining seized the opportunity and shouted, Luo Qingtong, don't go too far. You can pick on me, but don't insult my teacher. This is Elder Chu from the Tianyu Branch Academy. As she spoke, she raised her head arrogantly, waiting for the moment when Luo Qingtong would panic. Luo Qingtong would definitely regret it if she dared to insult the mentors of Tianyu Branch. However, she was wrong. After hearing her words, Luo Qingtong revealed a look of realization. She then played with the horsewhip in her hand carelessly and said, So it's Elder Chu from Tianyu Branch. Then he's no good. I'm really sorry, Elder Chu. My eyes are blind, so I don't really recognize people. You suddenly spoke without telling me your name, so of course I don't know who you are. But now I know. Please forgive me, Elder Chu. After all, ignorance is blameless. As soon as Luo Qingtong's words came out, the expressions of the surrounding people instantly became extremely strange. Were they overthinking things? Why did it feel like Luo Qingtong kept saying not a thing? And then what thing? She was obviously insulting Elder Chu. But if he had to say that there was something wrong with what she said, he couldn't find anything. Did she have to say that Elder Chu was a thing? That would be insulting, alright? Furthermore, Luo Qingtong said that she was blind and couldn't recognize people. Everyone looked at her eyes and then realized that the eldest daughter of the Luo family was blind. Since that was the case, they couldn't accuse her of insulting Elder Chu. Almost everyone in Wengai's city knew that Luo Qingtong's eyes were blinded in the Nine Magi Mountain. It was just that her actions just now were too clean, so everyone forgot about this matter for a moment. Chapter 296. Everyone looked weird, and Mr. Chu was also very angry. He had always been arrogant. Even in the Tianyu Empire, he was flattered, not to mention in a small country like Dongli country. However, Luo Qingtong insulted him in public. Suddenly, he felt a mouthful of blood stuck in his throat. You. He raised his finger and pointed at Luo Qingtong. He trembled and couldn't say a word for a long time. What should he say? Luo Qingtong was blind. She couldn't see him. She didn't know him. She scolded him in vain. Could he find trouble with Luo Qingtong because of this? Even if he did, it would be unreasonable. Why didn't he tell her his name? However, Mr. Chu was used to doing whatever he wanted. Not to mention in a small country like Dongli country, even in the Tianyu Empire, who didn't flatter him respectfully. Since when did he need to tell her his name? The anger in his heart was so stifling that he almost fainted. Good. It took Mr. Chu a long time to calm down. Luo Xining kept stroking his back and gently persuading him not to go against Luo Qingtong. This was between her and Luo Qingtong. The more she said, the more aggrieved and angry Mr. Chu was. It was he who said that he would stand up for Luo Xining. How could he not do anything now? Xining, you don't need to persuade me. I'll take care of this. Mr. Chu waved his hand and stopped Luo Xining. He looked maliciously in Luo Qingtong's direction. You didn't know my name before. Now you know it, right? Luo Qingtong, Xining is my apprentice. Her business is my business. Before Chu Lao could say anything harsh, he heard Luo Qingtong clap her hands and exclaim, "Good. Mr. Chu is really domineering." As expected of an instructor from Tianyu Academy, who came to recruit students. Not only is he rich, he also dotes on his disciples. Luo Qingtong's flattery stunned old Master Chu and made him swallow the rest of his words. What was wrong with this Luo Qingtong? He had supported Luo Xianning, and she was cheering for him? Mr. Chu was confused. He didn't know what Luo Qingtong was up to, but soon he found out. Elder Chu is an honorable man. Sun Xining, you have a good teacher. I've only just accepted you as my last disciple, and I'm already willing to help you repay your debt. In that case, I won't make things difficult for you. I'll leave these account books here. Hand over the money, and we'll be even. Naturally, I won't enter the Go mansion. Don't say that I'm deliberately causing trouble for you. Luo Qingtong said as she leaned against the saddle. She supported her chin with one hand and flicked the whip in her hand with the other. I'm very reasonable, aren't I? You. Mr. Chu was stunned by the sudden turn of events. When did he say that he would help Luo Xianning repay her debt? He clearly wanted to say that as long as he was around, Luo Qingtong and the others wouldn't be able to take a single step into the Luo mansion. But when he thought about it carefully, his words did have that meaning. That sentence, her business is my business. If interpreted as repayment of a debt, there was nothing wrong with it. Mr. Chu froze at the thought of this. In front of so many people, Luo Qingtong had praised him so highly. He really couldn't bring himself to say that he didn't mean that. He could only grit his teeth and straighten his neck. Okay, tell me how much you want to repay. Chapter 297. Teacher. The moment Mr. Chu opened his mouth, Luo Xining felt something was wrong. She wanted to stop him, but it was too late. Haha, Mr. Chu is indeed extraordinary. You are so generous. So domineering. Sitting on the horse, Luo Qingtong gave old Chu a thumbs up with a lazy and evil look. As for the debt, it's not much. About 4 or 5 national treasuries of Dongli country are enough. Plop. Before Luo Qingtong finished her words, Mr. Chu, who was standing in front of the gate of the Luo mansion, was about to pay off the debt and let Luo Qingtong and the others go back, lost his balance and almost fell down the stairs. How much did you say? He looked at Luo Qingtong in disbelief. 4 or 5 national treasuries of Dongli country. Why don't you rob? Mr. Chu couldn't accept it and roared. 4 or 5 national treasuries of Dongli country. Did she think they were cabbages on the side of the road? Although Dongli country was only a small inferior country, its national treasuries were equal to all the treasures of an aristocratic family of a superior country. What was more, Luo Qingtong asked for 4 or 5 national treasuries. Even if Mr. Chu had some assets in the Tianyu Empire, he was not generous enough to take out 4 or 5 national treasuries of Dongli country. What was more, whether it was a soul cultivator or a warrior, it cost a lot of money to cultivate. Mr. Chu had a lot of money, but he also spent a lot of money. How could he spend so much money for a new disciple like Luo Xinning? He was not stupid. You're simply asking for too much. His face turned red as he said. He said he would pay for Luo Xinning, but now he couldn't. This shameful behavior made Mr. Chu feel ashamed and angry. He looked at Luo Qingtong as if he wanted to eat her. He had never been so humiliated. Asking for too much? Luo Qingtong sneered. She casually picked up an account book from the ground, flipped to a page and threw it at Elder Chu. Look carefully. These are all things that Luo Xinning took away from me. Most of them were sent to me by Tianyu's royal family after the engagement. Luo Qingtong raised the horsewhip in her hand and tapped on the saddle. She looked down at Elder Chu, Luo Xinning and the others in front of the Luo mansion. As the future 5th prince's wife, which one of the gifts from Tianyu's royal family isn't the best? Any one of them is enough to match the foundation of an aristocratic family in the eastern border country. Do you dare to say that these things are worth less than the eastern border country's national treasury? Were people from Tianyu's royal family that poor? Even the most promising and most talented 5th prince's future princess consort's things are chosen to be trash? Or do you think Dongli's treasury is richer than Tianyu's imperial treasury? 4 or 5 times the value of Dongli State's national treasury is still too little. I didn't even count the gifts from the other aristocratic families, and the eastern border country's royal family. How dare you say I'm asking for too much with such sincerity? At this point, Luo Qingtong sneered. So what if she was asking for too much? Did Luo Xinning and the others dare to say no? Did they dare to say that the gifts from Tianyu's royal family were not worth that much? Luo Qingtong didn't like Tianyu's royal family at all. But since they refused to break off the engagement, they shouldn't blame her for using their name. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.